I was so excited when I got my first PIP TV.
Oh boy.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. You are watching Midweek Geeks. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. And we have a fun, awesome, totally outrageous episode for you today. And yeah, I'm going with that. Jar Jar.
It's outrageous. Hey, everybody. Midweek Geeks. It's chic to be geek.
There we go. There we go. Hey, Tom Dog. Kari.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Tom. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Time for some Midweek Geekdom. We watched some fun shows, got some stuff for you. Gonna have a good time.
Yeah. Powerful Brendan.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, like Jeremy said, we're going a little outrageous here, a little nutrageous. Actually, you know what? Fuckery season that word because quite frankly, the implication of that title of candy bar means that people use the word nutrage, and I don't know how to feel about that. So happy Wednesday, everybody.
And you know, it was said before, but you know, not live. You are looking a bit chic on the Midweek Geeks.
Pretty
Yes.
damn sexy, if I do say so myself.
Yes, my wife would almost agree. I think. I hope. I assume. I believe. I mean,
I'm trying
Springs
to
Eternal, kids.
imagine nut rage now.
Yeah, welcome to my fucking world, dude.
Like, fuck,
Look,
nut rage.
you should have seen me as a kid when I first saw the candy bar Nutrageous. I was like, I'm sorry. Has anybody else here ever heard of nut rage? No? I'm the only one questioning this? All right, fuck me then. Never mind.
Steve, you're
What the hell?
Blinded by the light. Left up like a deuce.
Hey guys, it's me.
running
You
in
don't
the
see
night.
me because I'm white as a ghost. It's zany today, apparently. I don't know what's going on with my computer, but hey, happy Wednesday.
Go
Happy
into the light,
Wednesday.
McMonster. Go into the light.
Caroline. I'm taking myself
Okay.
out for a second.
no
This
worries.
This is how you get nutrageous. You get the
Ooh,
butter pecan
squirrely.
moonshine into the squirrel, and he goes nutrageous.
Butter
Outrageous.
pecan moonshine.
Yes.
Butter pecan. Is it pecan or pecan?
It's whatever
Pecan.
you want it.
I'm in Nebraska, so it's pecan, but it's pecan. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends on how fucking bougie you feel at the moment, right?
I'd love me some pecan.
I mean, it's like let me ask, Kari, because you're in corn country there. What? It's Nebraska.
I know.
Corn Huskers,
That's
baby!
literally where she is.
But
No, I wasn't.
let me ask you, what do you call what's the title for either your father or mother's sister? What do you say?
I say aunt.
Okay, well, look at you bucking trends.
I
All right.
I know other people who say aunt though, but
Yeah,
here's
my
the
wife's
one
one
that
of them.
drives me crazy is people who say, and I have family members who do it too, but for the days of the week, they'll say like Happy Wednesday.
Oh well, that's a
Instead of
very Boston
Wednesday.
thing too. That happens all around this area.
They say it here for some reason, and it doesn't make sense to me. So
Pop or soda?
please,
Probably pop.
soda
Probably pop. Soda.
Buggy or carriage?
or
Cart.
you thinking I can afford something to have my horse pull?
No,
Well,
I'm
I
talking
thought you
about
meant like the grocery store.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, do you
Buggy-
go with a carriage?
That's a cart.
Yeah, it's a cart.
Yeah, shopping cart.
Hoagie, sub,
Hero grinder.
hero, grinder.
We don't use Grinder, but we have all of the rest of those as store names. So, like,
Oh,
I
Grindr.
get a sub from Subway. I get Hero from the Hero Shop. I've never heard of a Grinder before. And hoagies are usually actually a cooked sandwich. So
There's another variation too. Po' boy.
Oh yes,
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
a
more
little bit
South.
more. Yeah, I
I'm
was
going
gonna,
to fix this.
you're
at some
taking the
point.
words right out of my mouth.
we get those
When
when
I-
we go to New Orleans.
When I was living in Florida for a little bit, I was trying to find a grinder, and everywhere I asked, it was like they looked at me like, "What the fuck am I
They're
talking
like
about?"
that app. They were probably looking at you like, boy.
Ah, listen, pal, there's a whole bunch of gay clubs around here. You
Yeah.
know. There's probably
You don't
quite a
need
few
an app
friendly,
for that.
quite a few friendly Cuban folks around here that'd be happy to show you some of the brightly lit places that they go hang out and do the same sex thing.
So what is a grinder? Is it just a Hero sub whatever sandwich?
It's
the
all
same
it's
thing.
the same thing.
Yeah,
It's ju-
every single one of those is.
There's a region. It's just a regional title for the same thing, essentially. Yeah,
Okay.
we call them submarine sandwiches / subs up around here
Yeah.
for the most part. Around this area, still you'll hear like getting in towards New York, and a little past Connecticut, maybe going down towards Pennsylvania, in New Jersey. You'll get hoagie and hero.
Mhm.
Go further south,
We'll
that's
give
where you
me
get
a
po'
hoagie.
boy. So
Oh,
yeah.
They still call
So-
them a Dagwood anywhere?
Hmm?
Do they still
missed
call them a
that.
Dagwood anywhere?
A
Not that I know.
Dagwood? No,
that-
I mean,
is
do
that
do serve
Blondie's
them with
husband?
Blondies?
Yeah, Blondie's husband would always build the big sandwiches, so they were Dagwood sandwiches.
Oh,
Oh.
you know what? Actually,
That's-
that does sound familiar. I think I've heard that
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
So,
A
so
little piece of geek history there.
So I know, Eastern Connecticut were grinders. Where else calls it grinders?
Western
York?
Mass calls them grinders. So
Western Mass. Yep.
That's Mass.
I know my wife. Anytime I say grinder, she yells at me and says it's a sub.
And you were like, "No, I am talking about the gay meetup app.
Damn it!
Why don't you get up off my fucking back about it?"
Don't judge me.
Always wants to fight with me.
One of my, several of my best friends, like people who I love most in the world, also happen to be gay, and most of them are in long-term, incredibly loving and committed relationships. But there's always, like, in every group, I don't care if you're gay or straight, there's always like the one or two individuals that, it's like they always say, "Oh, I wish I was in a relationship," but they just can't help but like hoe around. And I learned so much about those apps vicariously. I like Grinder is obviously like the go-to, like that's what everybody knows, but like there's other ones too. Like there's one called Scruff. I just started making fun of them all the time, and I was like, "Oh, did you fucking set up a date on Stubble yet, or what?" Like, yeah, it blew my mind. I was like, "Damn, that's fucking crazy." And not just like for the LGBTQ plus community. I mean, like everybody. There's just so many insane fucking options, and thank God for myself that I met Dara before this all became like the big thing through and through. And I'm not knocking it.
I would
for
have
anybody.
to say, because I've tried regular dating back in the way back days, before the
In
dark
the 4
times.
times.
And I've also done the app dating, and I have to say, for introvert like myself, the app dating, figuring it out, meeting somebody first through the app and talking that way first, and really, I wasn't one of those guys dropping the D pics and being like, "Hey, check this out."
Yeah, I mean, I touched upon it briefly, like very briefly before Dara and I met, and I was just like, I don't know, this feels weird to me, because at that point in time, it was still like a fairly novel thing altogether. In like insofar as sending, dick pics, I mean, if I want to make them laugh, I'll just talk to them. I don't need to do that.
That's what I figured too. I was like, hold on, I want them to talk to me. I'm not going to go with that first.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, I want them to laugh at my jokes, not everything else.
So you talking about the way back? So I met
way back.
I met both my wives online.
Oh, really?
I mean, could we preface that you met your first wife and then eventually your second wife?
Yes.
Because otherwise, it sounds like, hey, live from Utah, we have Leo Pond.
So my first wife, I met her in.
Bro, why did you just get so loud? Seriously.
Yeah.
Me?
You went from like yeah. So when I met both my wives to yeah. So
see, is her coming back from the grave to like torment me? Sorry.
Wowzers!
This got awkward.
No, it didn't. I love it.
I love the Leo saga. I guess it's an amazing history.
Pull up a seat on the rug, boys and girls. It's time for Leo Pond Story Hour.
I'm gonna get him one of these days on my show. It's gonna work. Go on. Go on, Leo.
How am I sounding now?
So yeah, you met
Yeah.
each of your wives
Yeah,
separately over time because you are no longer married to your first wife.
Yeah,
because-
she did pass away. But it was met her on Yahoo Chat in '99.
Wow. You are talking about the way back.
Oh
machine.
yeah, the way back, like
Yahoo.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Yahoo Chat in '99.
Leo,
Yeah.
I get it, dude, because I always get a kick out of like busting Dara's chops about this because we met once when we were 16 in high school. I introduced myself. She was with her boyfriend at the time, Danny. Good dude. I like him a lot. He's a funny cat. And they were waiting for a mutual friend of ours. His locker just happened to be right next to mine, and he and I worked together as well. So they were leaning on my locker waiting for our buddy, and I was like, hey, that's my locker, so I would like to get this stuff off my back, so could you move? And they're like, oh, sorry, and they're like, oh, we thought this was it. I'm like, no, it's that one right there, so shift face. But I shot the shit with them for a few minutes, and we're all laughing, and a few days later, Dara walks by me in the hallway, like during school. This was after school, at like 2:30 in the afternoon. Just like 2 or 3 days later, Dara's walking down the hall. We are the only two people in this hallway. Okay. We just met recently. And because I mask well enough to say, oh, I need to follow the rules of being social. Like I don't feel it. I just know I'm supposed to do it. Yay, neurodivergence. Like I know the patterns to follow. So I see her, my brain's like, that's that girl Dara that you met the other day. Don't be rude, because not acknowledging her would be that. So say hi and her name and just wave hello. And so as we're walking by, I go, oh, hi, Dara. And she was like, and just kept walking. And I was like, oh, all right. So fuck you too, bitch. All right. And I didn't give her another goddamn thought for 10 years. I knew that I knew she existed. My wife is a smarty. She's like Lisa Simpson, basically. Our graduating class was like 1,200 people, and she was ranked number 35 in our graduating class. Like, yeah, I don't date dummies. Well, not anymore. But I dated my last dummy before I met Darren. I was like, oh, thank God, no more of that other stuff. But we actually both ended up invited to the same barbecue that a friend of mine from high school was throwing at his parents' house. She went with my same friend from high school whose locker was next to mine. She she's hanging there with him, and he's like trying to grill fish that you're supposed to fucking bake in an oven for her because she's a polo pescatarian. She doesn't eat red meat or pork. And as she's waiting for that, I'm just shooting the shit with her, and that's it. Just an honest to God conversation. No ulterior motives, nothing like that. I was actually at a point where I was like, I don't want to date anybody. I'm kind of fine with being with me. Like, I am the most important person to me now, and that is paramount to the rest of my life being okay. And really, that's exactly the kind of healthy mindset you're supposed to have if you're gonna be in a relationship. And we talked, and my brother and my friend Ed came up to me like, hey dude, we gotta go. And I was like, we're not leaving till 4:30. And they're like, yeah, it's 4:30. You've been over here talking to her for 3 hours. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, let's go. And I was like, oh, all right, well, hey, nice talking to you, and left. And that was that. Because I was like, there was a part of me, I'm not stupid, I am a man, god damn it. And I was like, ask for a number. But then I was like, but that wasn't what this was, and it completely taints the entire time we were talking if at the end I'm like, by the way, what's your number, or can I call you sometime? Because then it just seems like I was just waiting for my opportunity, and that wasn't it. It wasn't authentic. So I went with my brother and our buddy, and went to another party. We said we were going to go to another barbecue, and that was that. A few days later, though, of course, I'm like sitting there like fucking Cameron and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, lying in bed on my back, like, oh no, when Brandon came to Brandon's land, where'd my Brandon go? And I was kicking myself for not actually asking for it. I was like, fuck it, I should have just taken the risk. I go to MySpace, find her, and see that she had not signed on. And keep in mind, this was a Memorial Day cookout, so May. She had not signed on since November the previous year. And I was like, well, this is my best shot, because I'm not calling around my friends trying to get her phone number or anything. That's fucking weird and creepy. I'm good. I'll just shoot my shot here, and if it happens, it happens. Thankfully, she had email alerts set up, and she saw that she got a message from Brandon Powers, and she was like, oh, I should sign on to MySpace. And we went back and forth for just a little bit, and she was like, listen, why don't we just like text instead? It's a little easier, a little quicker. And I was like, okay, what's your number? She was like, why don't you give me your number? She didn't believe that I was gonna text her. No, she straight up was like, I don't believe you. As soon as I gave clicked send, I got a text message in like 28 seconds. I was like, oh shit, all right then. Then we just started dating from there. So MySpace was the reason I was able to start dating the woman who is now my wife. That is a very old-fashioned sentence. Like, the only way I can make it more like old-timey 21st century aughts turn of the century is if I was like, so yeah, I hit her up on MySpace, and when I clicked send on that message, I was waiting for her to respond back. I walked over to my landline and called Blockbuster Video to find out what time they were open till that night.
And then she paged me.
Midnight.
hit up Napster and downloaded some music.
And then I was watching a whole bunch of the videos I downloaded on Morpheus.
Yeah,
and then Metallica called me and was like, "You're going to jail."
Hey, listen, Metallica had the last laugh in that entire situation by not making any music that anyone wants to fucking hear for the past 25 years. Give me two, give me five, give me that. Sounds like the fucking caveman duck from DuckTales.
I have a great met my wife story. We met on Plenty of Fish. We talked.
Oh, that's a pretty good story. All right.
Yeah, it's over. No,
I'm an OK Cupid guy.
No. Was it OK? Fuck. Now I don't know which one it was, but it was one of the two. Yeah. But we met on there and we talked for a while. Blah blah blah. And I finally was like, hey, you want to be my Valentine? And she's like, yeah. I asked her to go to the movies with me, and then something happened that day with my paycheck, and it got all screwed up. And I was like, hey, you have to pay for your own ticket.
Oh,
Still married me.
that's beautiful. That was meant to be.
It
That's,
really was.
Did she ever turn to you at one point since then when you planned on going to the movies and like last minute she was like, oh, by the way, you have to pay for your own ticket?
No, she's made me pay for every movie since.
I mean, do you guys have a shared bank account?
For bills.
Yeah, there you go. Well, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
The majority of our money goes into a shared account, yes.
What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. We all know how that goes. I don't have my money. We have our money.
Yes.
Yep.
Touche.
So I have an awkward story for you. So I mentioned it was Yahoo chat. Yeah. And so like I was working retail at the time, and like, you know, I was a youngster in my 20s, and
You're still
like,
young.
well, not really, but
Debatable, but okay.
So, you know,
Didn't mean to lie, sorry.
so and being like a technical person, I said, okay, like I'm gonna.
I am also technically a person.
Being a
Oh, Jesus Christmas.
being a technical person, I thought, okay, you know what? I'm gonna maximize my
Workflow.
my chances and my workflow at, you know, finding dates. So I made a template.
Way to reduce the art to a fucking science, Leo.
Got the algorithms going around here.
Well, yeah, I made a template of this, you know, lengthy message, you know, describing myself, and you know.
I know exactly what you did, Leo. I did the same
So-
thing for OK.
Oh, Brandon's eyes got so wide.
Sent out the line and see what the hook
yeah.
brought back.
Sent out a bunch back. So anyway, I get a couple responses, and you know, it's one was my wife, and the other one turned out to be, I didn't find out until the first date, was also her roommate, because she brought her roommate along for the date. And both of them had a copy of the letter that I sent that was word for word both the same.
That's fucking funny.
Oh,
Leo.
oh, Jesus, Christmas. Why am I saying Christmas?
Well, because
yeah,
Christ is the first part of that word.
Christ is
so
the
you-
reason for the season.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that the way that the earth revolves around the sun is the reason for the season. Oh, by the way, happy longest fucking day of the year,
Summer solstice.
everybody.
Oh shit!
Oh, I thought that was
missed it.
tomorrow on my birthday.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
June
Mhm.
21st.
Oh, happy birthday!
Thanks.
What's your
Happy
birthday? When?
birthday.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Oh well, I'll fucking say it then.
Okay.
Now I don't have to.
So we're going till midnight, right?
Facebook post or
Yeah,
anything.
right. We're
Yeah.
going 12:01, baby. Happy birthday to you, buddy. Seriously,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I
Congratulations on
sincerely
making
Hey,
it this
Cooper.
far.
You get the longest birthday in the year. That's awesome.
Yeah.
appreciate it. I try.
I met my cat by going to the animal shelter, and yeah,
I
You took
had
one
a
look at the
line-
kitten, and all of a sudden it was just like Dreamweaver. I believe. No, okay.
Yeah,
I'm the only one that hears that when they look at the object of their affection. Okay, yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not weird.
Happy summer solstice.
Oh, by the way, a little addendum to that story I told. Dara has no recollection of meeting me when we were 16. None.
That's fantastic.
And the fucked up part about it is there's no good reason for me to remember it as vividly as I did. Like I literally had 2 interactions with her throughout the entirety of our high school careers. And I didn't like dislike her. I just nothinged her. You know, she wasn't part of my circle or anything like that. We had mutual friends, but we never interacted. So no reason to keep that shit in the fucking RAM. And then, you know, we met and blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, the best part about it is I didn't say a fucking word to her. about it until a little over a year in, and we went to go visit a bunch of her girlfriends. They were all getting together at one of their friends' house, like in East Bumfuck, Massachusetts somewhere. And they asked Dara how we met. And I was like, oh, I want to hear how she tells this story. And so she tells them all about the Memorial Day cookout. And I was like, all right, yeah. Like, oh, that's so cute. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty good for the second time we met. And they were like, including Dara. She was, what? I was like, oh yeah, no, we met 10 years before. And that's when I told her. And her jaw just like slowly moved towards the ground. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, no, it's no big deal. I mean, it's clear to me, though. I just, I care about you more than you care about me because I remember you.
Tom Dog.
And then you sipped your coffee.
And then tea, buddy.
I will give you my line from OK Cupid. All you got to do, man, ask them about their favorite kids movie. You talk about your favorite kids movie. You go in there. You don't drop the D pic. You don't talk about sex. You get them talking. They're like, oh my God, this guy's so cute. He's whatever.
So what Jeremy's advice to you, Tom, is be a person.
Be a human. Get to know them.
Be a formed individual who is, not driven solely by hormones.
Have an opinion.
Yes, do a conversation. Like even if they're not going to ever respond, even if they're not going to respond, have a whole conversation with them like they're going to.
You know what? That is the best fucking dating advice I have ever heard in my entire life. Just do a conversation. Just do it.
Do it.
Just do a conversation. You'll be golden.
It sounds an awful lot like something we know about. It's been around for quite a while. Nike. It
makes me think of the movie Better Off Dead. Like, Lane, listen to me. I've been going to this high school for 7.5 years. I know high school girls. I'm no dummy.
What were you going to say there, Kari?
Oh, I did meet my last significant other online as well, but it was through gaming. We were in MMORPGs together. But I mean, we spent like a decade knowing each other through various games. And so it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I know that you're the only person that I trust to heal me as far as if I'm in a raid. And otherwise I will heal everyone. But you could also, I always have your back when you're out there being the DPS and being the tank. You got me. I got you. Yeah. And you get to know people through their lot on how they act, if they're reliable when they show up for things, and so. But it doesn't always work out,
Oh, I totally
real quick, Tom. I'm gonna give you a fun, helpful hint, especially if you're going online and typing things in. Conversate isn't a word; it's converse. Think of it like the sneaker company. You converse. It's a conversation. Don't listen to anything Biggie Smalls ever fucking said. I'll just put it there. I mean, great rapper, great rapist, but no, conversate, not a word. So don't do that. No, I said no. All right. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I agree with you, Kari. Playing MMORPGs, you really, get to know people. It's like what did I used to play? City of Heroes.
Oh man! Wow.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, it was.
I played that for a little bit.
Apparently, there's a open source one that's actually still around.
Yeah, I mean, if I were super into that, I'd feel like the luckiest fucking guy in the world. But here I am.
Yeah.
But speaking about RPGs, didn't Nintendo announce?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Way to go with the segue, Brandon.
Yeah, I heard once Kari said MMORPG, I was like, this is my moment. And then my moment came several moments later.
Yeah, so they announced today actually several different games. So if anybody remembers Super Mario RPG,
it needs to be that same FPS.
It's the Legend of the Seven Stars, right?
Yo!
Hey everybody! Yo!
They just call it Super Mario RPG. And it's a
but
remake.
it's like a remake, right? So it has to be the Legend of the Seven Stars.
Well, wasn't Legend of the Seven Stars the sequel?
No, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars.
Huh.
Listen, I don't know a lot about video games, but I know that.
Wow.
I wanted the game so badly.
I'm
Yeah,
entranced.
It's so cute.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, I actually am looking forward to grabbing this because I think that my wife actually would probably dig on this for sure.
Yeah, so
So
this
is
comes
actual
out.
gameplay.
Yep. Yeah, and looks like it's
Hold on, Bowser's a playable character?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, it seems like somebody else is the villain.
Oh, the piranha plants.
Yeah.
The graphics look pretty decent.
They're
I mean,
fucking better. It's on the goddamn Switch.
And it's a complete remake, so all they had to do was update the graphics, and I'm assuming tweak the engine a bit.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
small
I mean,
Now they just need to do Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, and I'll have reached peak Nintendo. I don't need to fucking play any other video game.
Whoa, there was sperm. Just kidding.
They were tadpoles, but
Tadpole, sperm, same thing.
It's the same.
so they had another Mario announcement today, which looks absolutely amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't anybody tell me that my kid's blanket is next to me?
Hey, your kid's
Good
blanket
point.
is next to you.
So
I thought it was
Super
your
Mario.
thing.
Oh, hey.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Wahoo!
So
I actually think it's pronounced Oneater. Sorry.
I love it that Nintendo's like listening to the fans that we want side-scrolling adventures again.
Again, I've been saying that. I've been saying why are you making these non-side scrolling games since like PlayStation and Nintendo 64? That's the reason why I got so into Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, and Abe's
Yeah.
Exodus
God, I
on
love that
PlayStation
game.
because I could play them.
Yeah.
Part of
Well-
me thinks that this is going to be like a kind of like a redo of one because word one is
Oh yeah.
Look at the big brain on Steve. Oh,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm correct.
It looks so animated, like
It
It
really
looks
does.
fun.
Yeah.
It looks like a video game. Wait, hold on. You found a
Wonder
wonder seed.
wow.
I wonder what it does. What a jerk.
Well, so yeah, because last year we had Metroid, another side-scrolling. I'm not sure what other side-scrollings they did recently. There was the
never
Zelda.
stops.
That they... Oh,
Bless
bless
you.
you.
Tight.
Thank you.
What were you gonna say there, Kari?
Oh, these flowers keep talking to him. He never stops and talks. He's just like, yeah, whatever, fuck you.
Mario's kind of a douchebag.
I watched the
love
trailer
Kraven.
and there was that one that was like, oh, he looks oh, you killed
Yeah.
him. Okay.
So
Yeah.
this was announced at what?
Today
Direct.
the
Nintendo Direct 2023.
Oh.
Yeah. Just to let you know, I just quickly looked up Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, and straight up, like just looking at the box for the video game when it was on Super Nintendo, this is most definitely that same game. They're
Oh,
just
nice.
not adding the Legend of the Seven Stars subtitle to it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
Saving
that'll
the
be
logo.
fun. Yeah.
Very cool.
Now I
So-
just need to get that fucking 1 terabyte
hard
SD
drive?
card. Yeah, they're making a
Oh, no kidding.
for who's he what's it? Not terabyte. Is it shit? They're making a large memory SD card that you can finally like use for Switch, because it's going to be a pain in the ass. Like I'm going to have to take like all the info I have on the one I have in there already, which was the largest you could buy at the time, and I'm just going to have to like systematically like put the info on the Switch, take the card out, put the new one in, put the info on that, then do the same thing. Thankfully, I don't have like very many games that I have directly downloaded, because I do a fair mix, like physical and digital. But yeah, man, like I was looking at my memory the other day. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's a good thing I'm not like I haven't been playing a lot of video games lately, because I would have no goddamn memory left on this thing if that were the case.
Hey, James. He says, put that new Mario in my veins. Yeah.
It
Already
does
there,
look
buddy.
really good.
Yeah, it does.
I might actually break down and buy a Switch, because both those games look amazing.
You know, you say that, and I'm so thinking that too.
Well, I was
during the whole
the
pandemic
Zelda
thing.
game, but like Zelda just became too complicated for me. So
It's so much
You
fun.
don't feel
though.
like cooking?
no, I don't.
Yeah, I got
I want to collect Triforce pieces. That's it.
I got Breath of the Wild, and like I was enjoying it, but at the same time, I'm like, when the fuck am I getting to the point here? Because like I played it for like a couple of weeks, and I was like, and keep in mind, like when I say a couple weeks, like I'm not sitting there like for fucking 7 hours at a stretch, you know, because I have a life. I'm not gonna bogart.
Don't lie. Yes, you were.
I wish, man. Like, believe me, part of it too is like I'm leery of sitting down to do it unless I know that I can have the television for a good long time, because with my ADHD, I hyper focus, and in the blink of an eye, I'll start playing at 10 in the morning, and all of a sudden it's like 5 p.m. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
I did that the other day. Not that long, but
I'm just like, a little bit of
nobody was
hyperbole
around
there.
to pull me out of it. And
Yeah. And but I like to play games for just a little bit at a time, just to unwind. That's really what they should be for, in my opinion. And I was playing Zelda, I was enjoying it, but at the same time, I was like, how fucking long is it gonna take me to beat this goddamn game? Like I was looking at the walkthroughs, I was like, okay, so where am I? Holy shit, there's like fucking like 19 more sections of this walkthrough. Are you insane?
And
I was
I
like,
like to 100%.
Don't ever play Dark
things.
Souls if that's the case.
Don't worry, I don't think I will.
That game is it's a great game, but the thing is that game is so friggin' huge, it's unbelievable. And the same thing for the new one, like and they added like I was mentioning in the last show, Jar Jar, they added the building mechanic,
Oh yeah.
and I've built simple things, like I built, a wagon or a skateboard. But I look online and there's people that actually made like a working mech in the game.
Jesus
Fucking
Christ.
Zelda Gundam? Get the
Yeah.
fuck out of
What's
here.
going on?
Because you can get these like
The Zelda sword.
Mobile Suit Link. What?
Pterodactyl.
I'm the foot.
Wow, this fucking Voltron game is weird looking. You guys remember a fucking elf with a green hood in Voltron? Yeah, me neither. Man, this fucking Gotcha Man shit is really fucking out there. I don't even remember anything about this fucking glowing glass power triangle. No, whatever, man. I'm in it to win it, I guess. Sorry. So
you
yeah,
guys would all hate Dark.
what is this? What is this? The new one?
Shirtless
Yeah.
Zelda.
Yeah, this is
Whoa.
the new one.
Shirtless Link.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Fuck!
Yeah.
I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah, I'll find the video.
You
Link.
lose the key.
Hold on, ad. What the? I hate ads.
And I'm the one. I have
Yeah,
a Zelda.
I hate them
have
too. That's why I have YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
Same here.
People always say like, "Oh, I hate all the fucking ads on YouTube." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That happens for you,
You can
folks."
solve that for $19.99 a month, or $16.99.
No.
Just
No,
get
it's not that
YouTube
much,
Music.
is it?
If you get YouTube Music, you get the premium
Yeah.
YouTube too.
Oh,
So
what
it's
the fuck?
$11.99.
That's what
And
I
then you get YouTube Premium.
$11.99. That's what I spend on YouTube Premium.
See, I grew up when you couldn't skip ads, so I can deal with the 5 seconds of ads they give me.
Oh, they give you way more than 5 from like the time I've seen other people watching things.
Maybe they
yeah.
know.
Ridiculous.
Maybe they know that.
I don't go into crazy rabbit holes, I guess.
I mean,
to
I
my
go to
life.
YouTube and I just like put on my mix. Like it literally just pulls from the algorithm the type of music and shit that I like, and I'll just hit play. And,
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah,
you're using it for music. Okay. I use Pandora Premium for that.
yeah, I mean, I'm not like I used to have Pandora, but part of it is it's just a little easier on my computer because I'm doing it on my computer while I'm working during the day.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier too dealing with YouTube. Also, because of the ADHD, if I feel so inclined, it's easy enough for me to just like click on the YouTube logo and go look up something that like just popped into my head. I can't do that on Pandora.
No.
Like that's just not how that app works at all. Look at this shit. Come on. All right. Enough of this fucking business.
Are you serious? That is
Fucking link robots.
Oh, and somebody like they make multi-stage rockets. It's insane. The game's
See,
a lot
I-
of fun.
I wanna-
but it's-
I want to get this to make the spider from Wild Wild West, just because.
Yeah,
West,
absolutely,
Link
absolutely
West,
insane.
Desperado, Rough Rider. No, you don't want nada.
there goes that bad memory.
You mean you weren't? Oh yeah, you didn't see Flash.
Yeah, dabba, dabba.
No, it's okay.
What are we talking about?
This looks
Zooming
like a
on the
job.
butterfly couch.
This looks like a job for Superman.
So it looks like the bear is coming back soon.
You
Actually, I
want
think
The what?
to expand on that one, buddy?
The
Oh,
bear?
Is there a bear in your yard or something?
Yeah.
Are we back on Grinder again?
Yeah, right.
Based on the scat that I've seen
We're
around.
just talking about the gay dating apps, Leo.
Yeah, we're past that. Hey, Facebook user.
Oh, did any of you watch The Bear on FX?
No,
No.
I know what you're
Oh.
talking about, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen it. Stars Jeremy. What? Alan White? Is that his name? From
Alan Wake?
Shameless.
Nope.
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah. Yeah, I know he's from Shameless. I don't know his name though. But I'll take
Is
your
that
word for it.
the guy who played Philip?
Lip. Yeah.
Philip. Yeah.
Incredible show. It's about a restaurant in Chicago.
It is Jeremy Allen White. Just
Awesome. Just very good show. But season 2 starting in a couple weeks.
I actually did see like a little thing on the television about that.
Yeah.
'Cause we throw, we use Hulu, so there, ads pop up all the time. I mean, we have ad free, but we watch stuff regardless of ad free. Like when you're watching live, like there's actual commercials that play. So
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm not getting what I paid for. No, I am. Like I am most certainly getting what I paid for. Yeah, I mean, I liked him in Shameless. I thought he was one of the better parts of that entire show
Yeah.
before I stopped watching it at like season 5
made
or
it-
whatever.
I think
Maybe.
also to
Yeah.
season 5 as well. The 1 or 2 seasons after the main actress there left. I forget her name.
Emmy Rossum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
just
right? Yeah.
Emmy Rossum. Yeah,
I
it's right.
did
Believe
not-
me.
I don't know why I'm doubting you.
What
I
was
didn't
that?
think
Believe me, buddy.
What's that, Yo-Yo?
I didn't make it that far into that show personally.
Dude, some of
Well-
that show was like just the characters were like unlikable.
Yes.
It was
And
just like
that is
Like,
what
I know that was the point, but
that's what drove me away from it, because it's the same thing that drove me away from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as
see, I
well.
was just gonna start watching that actually.
Listen, you do what you want to do. I'm not disparaging the show. I understand there, it has its fan base.
On It's Always Sunny, the only person that's really driven to be unlikable is Dennis.
They're all pieces of shit. they have no redemptive qualities whatsoever.
I think
And
it's
That's
because
what
they're
it was
stupid.
turning into on Shameless. It
well,
was
they're
just
stupid, but they are also cruel, and
Oh,
that's
yes,
that's
that
the
is
thing.
true.
You know, like I don't do well with watching that because I don't like bullies, and every single one of them, including Charlie, is a bully.
To the waitress, yeah.
All of them, they're
Mhm.
all scumbags that treat each other and other people like absolute fucking garbage.
On the flip
And
side to that, have you seen Blackberry with Glenn Howerton?
I've not seen it
It's
yet.
fucking great.
Is it
I
a
did just start-
show or a movie?
Movie.
Okay.
Movie.
I believe it's
I
on
did
Pluto.
just
It's called the
start
creation of the
Right.
BlackBerry phone.
Oh.
Yeah. It's all about
I know
how it
somebody who still
revolutionized
uses one of those.
Crackberry. Yeah.
They sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna just say real quick, just before we leave Bear, I urge everybody
Bear
definitely,
is driving. How can that be?
yeah. I urge everybody at least give it an episode, but it's Michelin chef. His brother dies and leaves him this hole in the wall
Oh,
sandwich
you were
shop in
talking about
Chicago.
that the other day, yeah.
The Bear,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yep.
I keep meaning to start that and I just haven't.
It's so good. But yeah,
It's on
he's this.
Hulu.
I
Yeah.
believe it's on Hulu.
FX. Yeah. So
FX.
it would be Hulu because that's all part and parcel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't doubt that it's good. Like I said, he's from everything I've seen from him in Shameless, he's an excellent actor. He can do funny, he can do dramatic. I have zero doubts that it'd be a great show.
Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't gotten there. That's all. There's been so many other things that I've been trying to work through. Like it was more important to me to eventually get through like Yellow Jackets than The Bear.
Yeah. It's I think it's only like 6 episodes, it's a short watch. But Steve, what were you gonna say?
I don't even remember anymore. ADHD went out the window 10 seconds after that.
Did anybody catch well, I'm sure some of us caught the new Marvel show today.
I
Not
sure
yet.
did.
You
Yeah,
did.
Yeah.
the Stan Lee documentary. Good. No, wait, not that. Okay.
I watched that too. Not today though.
No, you said that was a tearjerker.
It had moments where it was definitely kind of like moving,
Yeah.
but
Have you-
also it's very much like Stan telling you, "I created the whole world."
listen up, true believer.
Yeah,
I created everything you love.
everything.
Yeah. It's like, really, Stan, so you created everything that we love in the 5 years you wrote fucking comic books in the 60s.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, you know what's fun? Looking at the fucking liner notes on the pages from the Marvel method that you did with Jack Kirby, and how Jack Kirby is the one who set up the story through the panels and then put notes on the sides of every single panel saying what you should probably write in as the dialogue. And 80% of the time, that's what you did.
Did you see that Jack Kirby's son like shot back the documentary?
Oh yeah, I read that whole
Neil.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's bullshit, dude. Like,
Oh yeah,
listen, Stan Lee most certainly contributed altogether to Marvel Comics being an entity, being successful in comics themselves, but not through like necessarily creative processes. He was a great frontman. He was a pitch guy. He was the fucking the guy on stage saying, "This is wonderful. You're gonna love this whole thing. We got a kid who was bit by a radioactive spider, and we got another, so on and so forth. Like, oh, these 4, they're fantastic." And that's great. You needed like the charming, for lack of a better term, like snake oil salesman to be able to get up there and do that, because everybody likes an oiled snake.
yes.
As a kid, I was really
it makes the axe go through a lot quicker.
as a kid, when I heard snake oil salesman, like when I watched like Pete's Dragon, I was like, why would you need to oil a snake? I didn't understand the concept of it. And then my dad was like, no, it's supposed to be like snake oil, like it's oil from a snake. I was like, oh
Yeah,
what?
when you
That's terrible.
when you squish it, you
Squeeze it like a face cloth right over the bottle.
It lubricates the axe blade. Just
Exactly.
Oh my god.
But yeah, Stanley.
Hold on, Kari, you know the story, right?
Please no.
Oh, yeah.
Tell her after the fucking
But
show.
you should
Because
share
like
that when
literally,
you
like
come on
in the
my
nicest
show.
way, you've told the story like half a dozen times on shows since I've been on the network, and I've only been on the network since 2021. So do the math on that. It's a fun story. We'll talk about it later.
I'm giving you an entire episode.
Okay.
But yeah, like Stanley, he was a great salesman. He really was. But he did fall a bit more into the creatively, a bit more into the category of like Bob Kane when it came down to it. You know, he's not, it's not, you know, there should be more credit given where it's due.
Yeah. That was the only thing that I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm just like, God, man, they could have been a little more humble. Like,
well, you know, that's the thing is like
bit.
they're pumping up a ghost at this point. You know, they're trying to really infuse like the legacy aspect, and it's like, honestly, for me personally, like I mean, he lived a very long, fruitful life. You know, he passed away when he was almost 100 years old, and really, who could complain about that? You know, but I don't bear any ill will towards him or anybody. I don't want bad things to happen. But like, if I never hear Stanley's name invoked again in regards to the creation of these characters, that's fine by me. You know, like, I do think if you want to talk about his legacy insofar as how he did push in his editorials the social narratives of equality and acceptance and actual like justice, that is important because, you know, he was a Jewish kid from Queens rather, who, you know, he knew what it was like for himself and other people out there, and that's why it was important for him to get up and do his stand soapbox. I love that. Talk more about that. I think it's probably pretty important, especially nowadays, to really take the magnifying glass and focus on those aspects, not just of Stan Lee, but all of those creators at that particular point in time. Guys like Jack Kirby, Joe Simon, Stan Lee, Ditko, Ditko-ish. He was Ditko
adjacent.
Ditko was problematic because Ditko was super into objectivism, which is a philosophy that was put forth by Ayn Rand, you know, author of The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. And it's basically saying like a thing or a person is what they are and they can never be anything else. So like, if you got caught committing a crime and you went to jail for it for, you know, a year and you got out, you know, you reform and, you know, you're an ex-convict, but you're not a criminal anymore. Like you've done everything you were supposed to. You paid your debt to society and you're trying to live your life. Objectivism is like, no, you're a criminal. Once a criminal, always a criminal. A is A, and that's all it ever will be. And that's why he named the character he created Mr. A down the line. Very much like in the same vein as like The Question. Gotcha. And yeah, objectivism is a really, really like winding road to being a hypocritical, self-involved shithead.
Once you said the guy that wrote Atlas Shrugged, I was like,
woman that wrote Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, that's woman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ayn Rand.
I just knew
a woman. Yeah, she was all about like, oh, people should be self-sufficient and they should take care of themselves. They shouldn't have to rely on social programs of the government to take care of them. That's not the government's job. And what's fucking hilarious about that is literally, and I'm not exaggerating, that woman could not sign her fucking social security checks fast enough to get them put in her fucking bank account.
It's usually.
Really? It's all super self-involvement, and that's like that. It's a shitty quote philosophy, and it gives me pause when that's actually one of the big things about when Zack Snyder was hired to be the director of Superman, that I was like, I don't know about this, because Zack Snyder is super into Ayn Rand. Like he like legitimately wanted to do like a big feature length version of the Fountainhead, and I'm just like, no.
Why?
Yeah, because he fucking loves the idea of objectivism, and I think that's not a great pairing. If you're gonna fucking have someone tell the story of a superhero that's been around for almost 100 years, that was like became the archetype and the basis of comparison for everything else that came after it, literally like the zenith of hope for all these types of characters. Don't hire a person like that to do it, because they're not going to see the forest for the trees. It's all going to be very surface level, which I think we can all admit his movies pretty much were. But regardless of that, those guys and gals, Denny O'Neil, Roy Thomas, Jim
Roy's a
Steranko,
sweet man.
they all were very socially conscious and aware people, and they pushed the ideas of equality and acceptance like most talented and mindful creators do through their creations. So it was clever subtext hidden in the context, and that's why we're able to point to X-Men and say, well, hey, look, this is an allegory for any group that feels marginalized. It's not specific anymore to being simply a comment on racial inequality. It can be used as, I mean, Bryan Singer, regardless of what you think about all the X-Men movies with Fox, Bryan Singer took it, and he, using those same exact themes, was able to make it apply to the LGBTQ plus community. Yep. And that's the hallmark of a good story, where you can take the central themes and it's applicable to any number of people who are all going through the same type of situation. And that's important stuff. I mean, and Denny O'Neil was doing that with Green Arrow on the DC side of things. Green Arrow is probably the most tree hugging superhero that DC had for a very, very long time. And I think all of that is well worth listening to, well, not listening to, but checking out. Same thing with Joe Simon and Jack Kirby creating Captain America. Two Jewish kids created Captain America. The cover of his first comic shows the guy punching Adolf Hitler right in the kisser. And on top of it, they made the character tall, muscular, blonde-haired, and blue-eyed. Yeah, like the biggest middle finger they could give through the work that they did to the Nazis. I still think, and I said this in our episode of Comics Paradox where we covered the Amalgam Comics Super Soldier, I actually think that the open top on Super Soldier and Amalgam, where you can see his blonde hair, that's probably something they should have done for Captain America way back in the 40s. Don't need the A on the front forehead part of the cowl. Don't make it a full cowl, because that way it could have really driven the whole like, oh yeah, you're quote Aryan Superman. Oh, here, check out our dude. He's gonna tear you a new one. Here you go. But yeah, like Stan Lee and all those guys and gals who did that stuff, they were incredibly important for waking people up to a lot of the issues that they otherwise may not have been wholly aware of, or maybe purposefully ignorant to a point. And then they kind of had that, snap and wake up moment. But for Stan Lee to be given
even that Captain America cover you're talking about came out before we even joined the war. So like it was very much very forward in comic books.
Yeah, and that's the main thing, is like all these kids that were creating these things, like they were looking at the world around them and seeing exactly what was friggin' wrong. And there's a reason why 2 Jewish kids from Cleveland and Toronto, respectively, created Superman. And one of the very first phrase descriptors of him was not like sole survivor of the doomed planet Krypton or, the Man of Steel, nothing like that. It was champion of the oppressed. That is the first phrase used to describe Superman. And there's a good reason for that. He always stood up for the people who otherwise could not stand up for themselves. And that's why superheroes became important through those early decades, especially because there were ideals that they were actually striving towards and putting forth. It's only when you get further down the line that the waters start getting muddied with characters especially in the 80s when everything goes dark and gritty. But you get characters like the Punisher and then Venom. You get Frank Miller fucking doing whatever the fuck he wants and Batman books. And, it's just okay, realism is fun, but, we are still talking about a guy that dresses in fucking bat pajamas and jumps off buildings for funsies. I'm just saying, be mindful of the thing you're doing. We're not exactly looking for Tolstoy here. You don't have to go full existentialist each time. Kind of.
What was I gonna say? Oh,
I have
Secret
no
Wars.
idea. Yeah, Secret Wars.
Oh yeah, we were about to do
We were.
Secret
I thought it was
Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
Yeah, sorry.
You two
Sorry.
didn't do that. That was a perversion.
coming.
So who here saw it? Who here saw it?
This guy. My hands up.
I have that.
All right, so Yo-Yo is the only one who hasn't.
Nope.
Well,
Okay. Well,
you
should.
not-
it was an episode and things happened in it.
Feel free to
and-
talk about it. Not going to stop me from watching it. To say.
All right.
I don't think there's much to spoil in the first episode, anyways. Except until
It's
you
laying the
get-
groundwork, but it
Yeah.
was a phenomenal.
Let me say
episode.
this. Have we all seen Black Panther
Black Panda.
Panther Wakanda Forever?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
You've all seen it? No? Okay. All right. But you watched this episode of Secret Invasion, correct? Kari?
Yes.
Okay. If you had watched Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the big twist in the opening,
Mm.
you knew right away. I knew
Yeah.
it right away.
Oh, yeah.
Because I watched Black Panther Wakanda Forever and I was like, that doesn't track because we saw exactly what happened to that character. Why would they be walking around? That's not at all a thing.
Okay.
And yeah, because I'm trying to speak about it in Vegas because I don't want to spoil it for you, Yo-Yo. But all right, all right, fine, fuck it, whatever. It's Ross. it's Ross. It's Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
He's in Russia and he's going to meet a guy who's like, I have something to tell you about this conspiracy I've been tracking for forever and a day. It's the fucking Skrulls. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not Ross. That's a Skrull. Because Ross was arrested by Val and the U.S. government at the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So there's no way he'd be walking around Russia to get this shit from this dude. It just didn't make sense. I'm like, I'm like, did Disney and Marvel really think like, oh, they won't even fucking remember it? Like, have you met the fans of these fucking franchises?
I mean, if you're being if you're honest, God damn it, if you're serious about that, like you have to figure that the people who are
What was
Hey,
that?
just put that anyway.
the
Everything
people that
okay?
are paying attention to what's going on with Marvel and the MCU, they're gonna know that this is what's happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Oh yeah.
the people that are so far into it at this point that are going to sit down and watch Secret Invasion, are like,
Secret
oh
Invasion.
yeah, this is the new Marvel thing. I can't wait to watch this one. Like, they definitely watched the vast majority of everything that came before it. Like, full stop. So I think it's disingenuous to open the series / very first episode of the series with that, because I mean, for me, right away, like I said, I was like, no, like, fuck you. Like, I was almost insulted to the point where I felt like I was watching the movie The Departed again, and got to the very end scene. Like, I don't know about you all, but when I watched The Departed, I really enjoyed that movie until I didn't, because Martin Scorsese insulted the intelligence of every single audience member who sits down to watch that fucking flick. We get it. He was a rat. You do not need a rat to literally crawl across the screen. We don't need that. It was like, come on, man. Like, I know Marty Scorsese has heard the fucking term hat on a hat. Like, you don't need to do it, man. We watched the whole movie. You don't need that in the last fucking 12 seconds. It's just not necessary. And Marvel doing this, I was like, you really do think that people have fucking memories like goldfish out here, huh? Like most people who are into like the MCU, they haven't been fucking tracking everything and making sure they stay on top.
We're kind of like the other guy there. We've had the pins and needles going to every single friggin' thing going on.
Yeah.
What's that?
If you follow the red string, it shows you what's going to happen in Hulk, but the fucking purple string over here, it's Hawkeye and Echo. You know, like, okay,
Yeah.
we get it.
It would have been out of, like, because he was rescued. Ross was rescued in Wakanda Forever after he
Not
was
the
arrested.
not the. Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
You're right.
I was thinking of it, like, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
the
so it wouldn't have
statuesque
been out of
Danai Gurira. I love that lady. I want Okoye to be in like everything. I really do. Like, Danai Gurira is great. I mean, and also Lupita Nyong'o. Like, I will watch Lupita Nyong'o read the fucking phone book. I don't give a shit. Like, she's incredibly talented, and I think she is as cute as a goddamn button. And like, she can go from like demure to fucking fiercely frightening in the snap of a finger. Like, Us is a great example, you know, to not that I like that movie. I like the first 2/3 of it. The last third, the
last third of that was fucking ridiculous.
Oh, bro, I saw that in the theater in a preview, and I almost audibly groaned when it gets to like the last third of that movie. When they're in the minivan and they get to the parking lot and shit. I was like, hold on. Because, you know, Red or whatever you call her, she like hops out and like grabs one of the kids or something like that. I was like, they literally just drove past where she's standing. They didn't see her. There was like nothing for her to hide behind her. She's wearing a fucking bright red jumpsuit. I was like, all right, man, like, fun camera trick, but, you know, physics didn't warp here. She doesn't have invisibility powers, from what I'm given to understand. And then trying to explain everything. If you just left a little bit more mystery to what the whole underground thing was, I think it would have been better off. You don't need to give every question an answer. That's my thing. But good call, Yo. I completely forgot about Okoye.
I was about to say that. I totally forgot Ross got rescued at the end.
Not every question has an answer.
That's true. Exactly. And just because you ask the question doesn't mean you're going to get the answer or the answer you want. Which, you know, I will say, I while watching this episode at the start of it with Ross, I was very, very impressed because I had not paid much attention to it before, but his American accent is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
he didn't make the common mistake I hear most actors and actresses from the UK or Canada make when they're speaking, you know, when they're in an American production. He said BEEN as bin. He's like, what have you been doing with it? because British, especially when they're speaking with an American accent, they still say the word bean.
Yeah.
They fuck it up like 90% of the time. Henry Cavill did it as Superman. Like I remember sitting in the theater watching BVS, and I was like, oh, where the fuck was the script supervisor on this? Like for real. Like, because that's the person in charge of continuity. I'm like, so nobody paid attention. Nobody caught that. Get the fuck out of here. Especially when it had been documented fully, like in news reports, that Henry Cavill had to warm up to the American accent when they would shoot. He had to like find a rhythm and pace and get into it and start getting comfortable with it, so then they could dovetail it right into the scene. He couldn't just go from British to American at the drop of a hat.
And when he said Worcester instead of Worcester, it was terrible.
What?
No.
I was like, hold on, did I miss that?
I was about to fight somebody.
I was born and raised in Worcester. I was like, motherfucker.
I'm here right now.
I mean, that's,
where do you people find an H in that word?
Well, you know what it is? It's people separate the syllables incorrectly when they look at the word. They're looking at it as Worcester.
Yeah.
But you actually have to separate it after the CE. So it's Worcester. Same thing with Gloucester. It's not Gloucester, it's Gloucester.
As a kid, I gave up. I used to call up like different states to get like, do reports on them and whatever, and be like, yeah. And they're like, oh, what's your zip code? And give them the zip code. And they're like, you're from Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm from.
Oh, so close.
So
you want to try again?
You guys know my last name and everything. You have no idea how animated I get with people when they mispronounce it. And I'm like, there's like 15 different famous McMahons out there, right?
For real.
How the I believe you.
You know what it is?
Honestly,
it's not even that. It's the fact that people who English might be their second language say it phonetically. Looking at it as like how it's spelled, it would be mcmahon.
Well, fucking, you better. I would very rarely say this, but I guess you should praise Jeebus that your last name was fucking anglicized.
Yeah,
because if it was written in the original Gaelic, good fucking luck to you. You ever see the name Sullivan written out in Gaelic as opposed to the anglicized version that we all are familiar with, like Sullivan?
Mm-hmm.
That's not how that name is actually spelled in Irish Gaelic. It is Sullebhain.
Oh, boy.
Sullivan. Yeah. I mean, I love that shit because I live for fucking like etymology and what have you, but totally
makes sense ridiculous. That the B would be for the V because Siobhan.
Well, BH. Yeah, my sister's name is Siobhan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Siobhan.
So, do we know how many episodes this is going to be? Because
I do not know.
I thought it was 10.
Yeah, because I'm looking and I'm seeing a date for the Marvels is July 28th.
What?
July 28th?
It says 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, 6. Facebook user is saying 6.
6 episodes, yeah.
And the final episode is July 26th.
Wow.
Wait,
so you think this is going to go right into the Marvels?
It's got to.
I wonder.
It makes total sense.
The Marvels comes out in July?
At least that's what this article I'm
That's
reading
crazy.
says.
I thought it was coming out in like November. Are you serious? I could have sworn it was coming out in November. Release date November 10th.
Yeah.
No, the initial release
you,
date
Leo.
was pushed back.
Got us all excited.
Yeah.
The actual release date is
November
November 10th.
That way.
So where are you reading that, Leo?
It's a
Cosmic
article.
News.
Is an article on early game.
Yeah, maybe don't use them as a source for
Yep.
It was
info.
written in 2020, but
Yeah, right. They're using Internet Explorer to do everything. Man, they're going to be so disappointed when they find out about the pandemic.
No, they published the article June 21st.
Wow,
So they're just.
I don't know how
they're
he's
just
avoiding the
idiots.
year.
Hey, should we
No,
check the sources on this? Nah, just fucking put it up. People are stupid. They'll
I
believe
got one of
anything
those
we tell them.
websites that always changes the date of update to
Yeah, that's
that
probably
day.
what it is. Yeah, because it's filled with ads and shit too. Yeah, it's June
Oh, that's
21st,
definitely the case.
2023.
Apparently, for some reason, Raz is Facebook user, and it's just not pulling up his info like usual.
Raz.
Has he signed up through StreamYard?
Yeah,
with
he's
his Facebook account.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Friggin', I did think it was funny. Like I was making jokes. Like Samuel L. Jackson's character, Nick Fury, he had been up on Saber for God knows how long, and then he finally comes down to terra firma, and he steps off the ship, and like second he steps off the ship, and he's like, I was like, oh man. This real Earth gravity is some bullshit after dealing with that diet gravity up on the space station. He's like, oh God, no, I have no calcium left in my bones.
What's even funnier is I looked at my wife and I was like, he's going to make some comment about his bones being too heavy.
That's literally the jokes I was making. So yeah, Marvel foresaw shitheads like me making jokes like that, so they didn't even try to do it themselves, but still put fucking stupid shit at the beginning. I don't know.
Stupid fucking space nerds, man.
Fucking space nerds. I'm talking with Darren too. I was like, oh yeah, Saber. I cannot remember what that stands for.
Strategic aeronautic. I don't fucking know.
Sentient something. ABER.
Yes.
That's what I get.
Sentient
Aber.
We got a trailer for Warworld today.
What the? Oh,
yeah. Jensen Ackles is returning as Batman.
Interesting.
Cool.
I don't know if I'm some of these newer animations.
The Wonder Woman
hidden.
one looks very much like the Elseworld Justice Riders, where it's like the Justice League, but it's the Wild West.
I see they went with the thick outlines again. I'm not like Invincible. Yeah, I'm not happy about that.
Like Invincible? Well, no,
not Invincible.
No,
Injustice.
It's not Injustice, man. It's not, because first of all, the knuckle lines are not done like that. This is done exactly like Superman. What is it, Man of Tomorrow or whatever that came out? It's the exact style. And also Supergirl and Legion of Superheroes. It's the same exact style. They did the same thing. Oh, and also Super Sons. Trust me.
Okay.
Trust me. Do
Source.
it.
Trust in the Kraven.
Source, trust me, bro.
Thank you.
Do you know what the symbol on my chest stands for?
A river.
Spaceman.
Shangri-La.
Space potato.
Yeah. So yeah, looks pretty good.
Yeah, I will check it out.
I'll watch it once it hits the max.
Yeah.
The max.
The bunny rabbit?
Oh, and now I get to call it the max because that's what it is now. Holy
the
crap.
max.
Yeah. So we're getting a bunch of trailers for The Boys dropped recently.
Yeah.
I've seen none of them, but spoil everything.
Well,
I mean, it's mostly
I don't
mostly
think
like
there's-
it's not really like
not show scenes.
There's no revelations from like scenes of the show. Yeah, exactly. It's the kind of PR stuff that they normally do, as if it were really the world that The Boys takes place in, and you're getting messages, from VOT International. So you see they're doing like a bunch of propaganda themselves, like trying to rework the narrative of why Homelander killed that guy in front of everybody. Like he was protecting his son from a a violent individual who wanted to hurt him and blah blah blah.
Starlight fiends.
Yeah, Starlight Fiends. Yeah, he's a hero and he would blah blah blah. He would never do, So it's like, oh, wonderful.
Home light stands.
Yeah.
And Anthony Starr recently gave an interview where he was like, listen, listen, if you are out there and you are idolizing the Homelander, then you do not get what we're doing at all. You do not understand the character. And I'm like, yeah, you are 100% correct, sir.
Are there people out there idolizing Homelander? Holy crap!
If you
That makes me
think
sad.
about
You
how
really
everything was,
don't understand the show.
think about how everything was back in the 80s, where when there was a villain, you fucking hated them. It's taken a complete 180, and everybody
Oh, it
roots for
really
the villain
has.
now.
Well, when it comes to the geek community as well, we see a lot of folks out there, mostly angry middle-aged men, who rail
Being
against
pale.
who they rail against any kind of, for lack of a better term, change to the status quo. But really, it's not a change when you think about it, because these characters have always been progressive characters. So when there's more inclusion put forth in these books because it's keeping up with the times, just like every single one of these comic characters has done since their inception, going all the way back to 1938, they start freaking out and they start, disparaging things as woke and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, yeah, woke. It literally means to be awakened to the fucking problems in society. Like, the longer way to say it would be enlightened. And the fact that you're using woke instead tells me a couple of things. One, you're lazy, and two, you probably can't spell the word enlightened. So these same individuals who grew up reading and loving, that's on you, buddy, who grew up reading and loving these characters, when you break it down, like, they think that these characters reflect these fucking skewed values that they themselves have, and it's like, no, you've actually become the villain of the stories that you enjoyed reading as a child and into your adulthood. You're not Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal. You're fucking Otis doing whatever Lex Luthor tells him to do. Like, there's a big difference there. These same individuals, they just see it's a power fantasy thing. They see the power that Homelander has, and they just see like the big muscle suit, and they're like, oh yeah, that's the guy. That's he doesn't give a shit. He says what he thinks. He does whatever he wants. Nobody can fucking control him. That's the shit. And it's like, that's a fucking nightmare. No. Like, have we not heard of Machiavelli? Have we never heard the fucking phrase absolute power corrupts absolutely? Like, there's something to that. It's disparaging to say the least. And I am very happy that Anthony Starr, did in an interview straight up say, like, stop idolizing this character. Like, this is satire, and if you're not getting it, you're not doing yourself any favors, and certainly not anybody else who watches it and actually understands what they're saying. So yeah, I mean, make of that what you will. Search the interview. It's pretty good. Most obviously, like, everybody on that show, they get it. They understand the satirical nature, and more power to Eric Kripke for doing what he does with that show based from the source material, because they're two disparate projects, really. If you've read the comic, you have a clear idea of the comic story, but now, like, for me, I really enjoyed the comic. I don't know where they're gonna go with the television show. They've changed enough of it that I am perplexed in a good way.
I almost think it's better. Yeah.
And I think it works a lot better than some of the other stuff I've seen, because I was really nervous when Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg were going to be producers on it alongside Eric Kripke being the showrunner, because Preacher I will say I reread Preacher not too long ago, and it is very much a 90s book. I don't think it holds up. I do not think it holds up at all.
It was fun in the 90s, but
it was because it was definitely holding a mirror up to this like machismo culture. But now it's I don't know, it's just a bit, it's sort of like, I don't know, it's sort of like watching a Tarantino movie in the 90s, and like it blows your mind. And you know, like Pulp Fiction, I love Pulp Fiction, but like it doesn't hold up quite the same in 2023 as it did in like what 1995 or whatever,
I think it was,
when it came out.
Yeah.
It's still a good movie, and I still enjoy it, but we've been inundated and sort of desensitized to that kind of thing because of its inception over the years, that going back and reviewing it, it's like, oh yeah, okay, totally understand why this was like the hottest thing since the first loaf of bread came out of an oven back in 1996. But if that were to come out now, you'd just be like, okay. It's sort of the same thing with Preacher. I look at it, I can say, oh, I see why I loved this so much when I was in high school. But now, as a fully grown man, I'm like, yeah, of course a fucking teenager would love this book in the 90s. Of fucking course. But that being said, there were still certain things I think I reasonably expected from the television show, and they just did whatever the fuck they wanted with it.
I was happy that I started watching the show before I read the book, but then I read more into the book before the show, and yeah, it's all over the place. And
don't get me wrong, I didn't have a problem with like any of the casting.
From the beginning to end.
I think that what's his face, Dominic, oh my god, he played Howard Stark in Captain America. Dominic Cooper. He played Jesse Custer in it. I thought he was I didn't quite get it at first, but he's a good actor, and I actually enjoyed what he did in the series. Joseph Gilgun, who played Cassidy in it, fucking pitch perfect. You could not have cast that role any better than that actor. And I adore Ruth Negga, and I really liked her casting as Tulip. I did not like how they changed her character's backstory in Preacher at all. I thought it was unnecessary and super fucking lame, especially because the whole thing in the comic book is that Tulip, a big part of the reason why Tulip falls in love with Jesse, not attracted to him, but falls in love with him, is because he has the same kind of quality of personality and inner strength that her father had, who unfortunately died tragically in a hunting accident when she was like 9 years old. So she's missed her dad for most of her life, and he was such a good dude. And her birth, when he was expecting a boy the entire time, and her mother died during childbirth, he was from the start, like we see him, he's clearly a bit of a sexist, like a little bit of a misogynist. And when Tulip is born and he loses his wife, he looks at this little baby and he instantly falls in love with her, and his whole outlook completely changes. You see him at the start of the issue where they cover him in Preacher, where he's just like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And you know, they're complaining about, you know, these ladies in town or some girls doing this and in the local high school or blah, blah, blah. And then later on, when Tulip is like 8 years old or 7 years old and she wants to like play Little League, he's sitting there, he's like, yeah. And they won't let her fucking join because, you know, they're saying she's a girl. And I said, so what if she's a girl? She's a kid and she wants to play the game. There's no reason why she can't be out there with everybody else. And all the guys around the poker table like, yeah. Wait, what? Like, yeah, like even they were like, wait a minute, what's happening here? There was a shift. But like it goes to show how important Tulip and her father were in one another's lives. They were what they had. And to take it and make it so that Tulip just like was essentially an abandoned kid and had a horrible sort of abusive childhood in Preacher, I just think that was a disservice to the character. So when it came to the boys, I was expecting a whole lot more of the same, and it kind of is. But I think the key point is Eric Kripke. He's written comics. He has made several television shows, and he knows how to operate within that frame. It's his wheelhouse, and I think he's a main driving force for the satirical nature of that entire series. And honestly, we have him to thank for Jensen Ackles playing Soldier Boy,
right?
In the series, which honestly, that was probably I was probably the most impressed by Jensen Ackles in The Boys than I ever was through the entirety of anything I watched for Supernatural.
Yeah.
Because none of it was CW'd the way that show obviously was. And not for nothing, but Jensen Ackles was finally in a live action role. When I was watching him, I didn't feel like reaching through the television screen and grabbing him by his face and going, just speak in your normal voice, asshole. Just speak normally. Because when he was on Supernatural, like, I mean, this is the way I sound, but you guys hear me. I'm like, yeah, so blah, blah, blah. That's like what he was doing all the time on Supernatural. He was trying to make himself sound gruff. And it's like, yeah, it's like, dude, your voice is a slightly higher register than that. Knock it the fuck off, man. Like, you already, your character is tough. You don't need to try to sound like this. It's pie, not cake. Like, you could just say, like, I want pie, not cake. It's that simple. You don't need to fucking gruff it up, man. But yeah, he did an excellent job, and I really do hope that that in particular opened up some people's eyes to get him like some decent roles beyond Supernatural. Because I think he's better than that.
Well, speaking of that, Joe Blow is saying that
Batman.
It's rumored that he's in the running to play Batman in Brave and the Bold.
Really?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not discounting it. I don't know, man. Like, part of the reason why I think
as Bruce Wayne,
I don't see him as the character at all. I think the main reason why that's being forced, and I think it's probably just rumor that somebody's trying to push into the zeitgeist to like manifest. I think it's because he's voiced Batman several times and Batman related characters in the animated movies that they've done. He's done what? Jason Todd and Batman, right?
Yep.
In both Red Hood and Bats. So, you know, like,
I could see him as a live action Jason Todd, though. As soon as you said that, like,
yeah, I would buy that. I would buy that before I buy him as Bruce Wayne.
Hell yeah,
100%. Yeah. I just don't. I just don't buy him as like the smart, like as not in the public eye. And I'm not saying Jensen Ackles is stupid. I'm not saying that, but there should be like a quiet intelligence to Bruce when he's not engaging with anybody. Like, his actions, his face, everything should be able to speak volumes as we're watching him work through something in like the Batcave. I haven't seen anything from Jensen Ackles that would give me enough confidence to say he could do that. You know, I would say Jason Todd for him, 100%. I would have zero issues with that. Because I think he would work really well, sort of the way he did in sort of with Supernatural and even The Boys, where I think playing a character who has a tendency to be a bit more temperamental would work really well. Where he has that, like, I think he's a lot funnier than like naturally. He has a lot more of a wit about him and comedic timing than Batman would necessarily have, and that caustic, sarcastic wit would work really, really well for Jason Todd. because he truly just does not give a fuck about Batman. And like, I would love to see that. Like, Jason, I need your help. Yeah, well, we all need a lot of things,
yourself.
Bruce. Yeah, we all need a lot of things, Bruce. Go fuck yourself. Like that.
So
I look at that
I
picture and I just go, he needs more chin.
well, I asked Bing to draw an image of Jensen Ackles as Batman. So this is what it came up with.
Wonderful.
I was trying to figure out why it wasn't amazingly done, and I was like, it almost looks AI-esque, and that makes total sense.
Yeah.
You can do that with just Bing now, huh?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Chandler.
Technology.
I know, crazy, huh?
Yeah, and James
You are
Gunn
so technical.
said recently too, in regards to like
I'm the most
casting rumors
technical.
and what have you for the DCU, confirmed straight up again that he and Pom Klementieff have been talking quite a bit about her involvement in the DCU, who she might
Wow.
play. Some people are like, oh well, you know, she's probably gonna end up playing like Mercy Graves or Eve Tessmacher, and I think it's actually already been confirmed that Mercy is not going to be in Superman Legacy. It's going to be Eve Tessmacher, who was the character that Valerie Perrin played, Lex Luthor's girlfriend in Superman the movie in 1978. I don't think that she would get cast as Miss Tessmacher, and that's not a knock on her. I just think, you know, if Pom Klementieff's going to come into the fold, that James Gunn would want to give her a little bit more to do. We were talking the other night, Leo, Justin, Cooper, and myself. We were saying, like, wouldn't it be something if she got cast as Ice from the early &90s Justice League of America?
Wow.
She is French Canadian, and I believe her mother was Korean. But like she's blonde, and she has like enough of a European accent that she could probably convincingly, for American audiences especially, play Icelandic, to play the character. I'd be interested to see that. And for Fire, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we kind of been like, yeah.
I would. I'm just saying, I would love to see Ice, like somebody other than Lex Luthor and the normal Superman villains. Like I'm hoping for something different,
Grander.
yeah.
I suggested that she play Talia.
Yeah, I mean,
Al
that
Ghul?
would be Talia al Ghul.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be against that either, especially
Maybe her
because
for
she's still.
Superman.
Yeah, well, it could be Brave and the Bold.
Sure.
Because Damian is going to be a large part of that. So she could play Talia, or she could play Lady Shiva and be
Ooh.
Cassandra's mother. You know, but it occurred to me earlier today. I had said that, you know, recently Karen Gillan was saying like, oh, you know, I'd love to play Poison Ivy in the DCU and for DC Studios. And you know, that's not a bad pick. I mean, she's a beautiful redheaded woman. All right, great. You know, however, going still on my like 90s JLA thing, I would love to see Karen Gillan play Maxima in the DCU. I think that would be a really interesting addition, especially if you actually have like the 90s JLA kind of be a proto Justice League before you get the big guns converging to make the actual Justice League that most people are familiar with: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman.
Yeah.
You know, like that right there. I think that would be really interesting. I mean, because if you look at it, we already have projects that have been announced and lined up that involve the members of, you know, formerly known as the Justice League. We got Blue Beetle coming out, which by all accounts, like, it's rumored that Ted Kord is going to appear in it, and he might actually be played by Jason Sudeikis.
Oh wow,
That'd be fucking awesome.
I would have no problem with that.
Wait, who would he play?
Ted Kord.
Oh, okay.
Not the original Blue Beetle, but
Blue Beetle
the
2.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the bug ship and everything.
Yes.
Booster Gold has been announced as a live action series on Max. So if we take a look at some of the things that they're lining up, like that could work out. I mean, technically speaking, we've had Maxwell Lord in these movies too. But yeah, like there's some interesting stuff that could occur there. But yeah, I think Palm Clementif being semi-confirmed as having a place at some point in these series of movies that'll be released. That's fantastic, because I thought she really got her time to shine in the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. She was
fantastic,
outstanding alongside Dave Bautista in that. They both were excellent. But yeah, like I think it's cool that they're coming out and saying like, "Yep, we're talking about it. We're not going to tell you what it's about, though." So I mean, there's all kinds of happening.
See that interview right for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 where there's the guy talking to her, and at some point she's like, "Can I say fuck?" And she's like, "Fuck." And then he says something like, "Why don't you tell us who you're talking about playing in French?" And she like goes to say it, and then at the last second she's like, "Wait, people who know French listen to this."
Yeah. Wait a minute. People other than me speak French as well. I'm on to you and your tricks, reporter boy.
It was so great.
Yeah, she seems cool as hell too, and she and Karen Gillan are like that. They became like fast friends on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and they've been like inseparable, I guess, since. Like it's really cool. It's always awesome to see stuff like that. And apparently, Palm Clementif is constantly talking with James Gunn. Like, according to him, she constantly sends him gifts of cats, which I think is like adorably hilarious.
Like live cats.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I hope it's
I don't
not
have access to
cat.
James Gunn's phone.
Not gifts. GIFs. GIFs.
Oh,
gifts.
Gifts. Yeah.
No T. I saw that.
Like he has a room full of kittens, and it's like
we saw.
That's where I was too.
Jar saw the wheels turning in your head, where nobody.
I was like, "Hold on, Leo."
Yes, Leo. A graphics interchange format. GIF, not a GIF. I don't care what the guy who invented it fucking calls it. Graphics begins with a hard G.
It's GIF, but I thought you had a T in there.
Listen, choosy moms
I did
choose GIF.
fair, so
yeah, all I could see is he's getting like boxes of kittens.
Another box.
got a sanctuary going here.
With the other one.
I've heard of being knee deep in pussy,
like,
but this is ridiculous.
Oh, he gets back from vacation. Oh shit! Never mind. Sorry.
3 more tabbies in a calico.
Well, speaking of cats, I'm sure.
I hope we're not talking about
I'd
the
love
the
to
movie.
see where this segues.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
I'm sure we all saw the Kraven trailer.
Oh my god!
What the ever-loving hell?
You know what's really cool
Listen.
about the Kraven trailer is I really enjoyed that origin for Kraven when I saw it for Catman in DC Comics. Was I the only person who made that connection?
No.
I didn't connect that at all until you just said it.
Yeah, literally watching the trailer, you can go and look at the comic book just a few years back when they're doing like the fucking Secret Six shit and everything. Yep. And see Catman's origin, and it is almost fucking panel for panel what they show in that goddamn trailer.
What were you gonna say there, Yo-Yo?
So, part of the reason I was like late to join today is because like my mouth hurts. I have a broken tooth, so my face is numb.
Oh, buddy.
But
sorry, man.
I saw that trailer and I had to be on. I was like, I must vent anger. What's the ever-loving hell?
Oh, dude.
It
Sony
had one
is
redeeming
making
thing. one redeeming thing was the bear trap ripping the dude's head off, but the rest of it, I was like, what the fuck happened here?
Fucking Sony's over there with these fucking superhero properties based off Spider-Man shit, trying to make fucking soup sandwiches. It's fucking ridiculous.
God.
So Yo-Yo, please vent. Go for it.
I'm just trying to figure out why they just keep messing. Like, do they not like money? Do they just like seeing people angry? I'm not quite sure what the reason is.
Whoever is like
anything
being
to keep
allowed
that
to
IP,
write
buddy.
these over there, and like, but there's got to be somebody that's like, all right, we're gonna make the movie. Let's make a little bit of cash off of it. Somebody wants to make money.
You can tell that
Some
they're
lion
trying
blood
to
got
aim.
into him.
They're trying to tell you're. You can tell that they're trying to aim towards people who are enjoying like ultra violence.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're hoping that that's the crowd it's going to attract.
Yeah, but you can still do ultra violence and do like a comic accurate Kraven story, right?
I suppose, but
now I really want to hear Aaron Taylor Johnson say ultra violence in his British accent in Kraven. Because it's like the closest he's gonna get to. Yeah, it's the closest he's gonna get to a Clockwork Orange. Like if he says it while drinking a glass of milk, you know what? Worth the price of admission for me. I got the lion's blood power, and I was having a little bit of milk so I can go out for a bit of ultra violence.
In what universe does a lion blood getting into?
It's a radioactive
lion. Praise the Lord. Praise Jesus.
The spider bit the lion, and then the lion blood.
I said that same exact thing when we talked about it on my show, but like I was like, was it a radioactive lion? But
that's all we can think of. Like,
so the question I have is other than them like botching the origin story, what did you think about the scenes?
It's Beastmaster.
Yeah,
he's not Russian. Is he?
He's not Russian. Russell Crowe sounded Russian, but for some reason this guy was.
I got pissed about that too.
I was like, how come Russell Crowe's not Kraven?
Here's the thing for me. Oh, go ahead, Kari. Go ahead.
Oh, I'd said before a couple months ago on here, I think I'm not Kraven. I'm just not a like, oh my God, that's somebody I have to see out of all of the people out there.
And why the hell throw Rhino in the trailer? Like that was unnecessary.
With new
that was
Spider-Man connection.
Oh yeah, you know what an odd thing for Sony to do. Yeah, they never make unnecessary moves with any of these fucking properties.
Morbius. God,
it's Morbin time.
I'm thinking that a couple of guys like us could do some real serious damage. Oh, cool.
They're single-handedly perpetuating superhero burnout.
We're putting together a team. Oh, shut up.
Wait, me or you?
No, I mean them.
Oh.
I mean, fucking Michael Keaton and fucking Jared Leto and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Like, ugh. You know what? They're going to make this stupid Sinister Six movie come hell or high water. Somebody over at Sony has had a fucking mad on for it for years. You know, and they took none of the lessons they should have learned from the Amazing Spider-Man 2. They were just like, okay, well, people like Spider-Man and we still own the characters, so we can finally do it because people love the MCU and here's a bunch of villains. I don't think you understand what it is that people like about Spider-Man movies. Like, you know, primarily, and this sounds crazy, Spider-Man? And just, you know, like, oh man, I love Spider-Man. I love those movies. Oh, cool. We got Morbius. We got Morbius for you and Kraven. Oh, sure. And Venom. Oh, Venom. That's interesting. So, you know, you're going to work that. Oh, no, Spider-Man has nothing to do with that. What?
Until the very end of the movies, we'll let you feel like you might get a little bit of Spider-Man at some point.
Well, it's like I said, I think that we're going to have two versions of Venom. We're going to have the Sony Venom and we're going to have the MCU Venom. You know, that's what that droplet of symbiote left at the end of No Way Home indicates. You know, when Danny Rojas was serving Eddie Brock a bunch of fucking margaritas. The guy who played the bartender in that scene, he's on Ted Lasso, and he plays a football player named Danny Rojas. He's one of the most like positive, energetic, frenetic individuals on the face of the planet, who's just like eats, sleeps, and breathes football. He's like, football is life. Danny Rojas, Danny Rojas. Like he's hilarious, except for when he's scary. That happens in one episode. Yeah. We are no friends now. We are enemies. And he was not fucking around.
No, he fucked that. Van Damme. He fucked Van Damme up.
Yeah, so bad, dude. But yeah, like they that whole thing. I mean, I really feel like, especially with the Stark Tech suit no longer being a viable option for Peter, because it doesn't recognize him as a user, because nobody remembers Peter Parker. He makes a new costume, which is classic Ditko-esque Spider-Man, shiny lycra, and smooth. It doesn't look like every other fucking Marvel MCU costume, which I'm getting very fucking tired of. It looks like every single one of their heroes and what have you in that movie go to the same goddamn tailor. And I understand, like, there are individuals that we've seen in the MCU that do create certain things, but they're not making them for fucking everybody. I don't think they're making them for Thor or the Eternals. But yeah, they all have that same kind of textured look, every single one of them. Whereas Spider-Man, very like much a lycra spandex thing at the end of No Way Home. I think we're gonna see a slow buildup to him having the black suit and then it becoming Venom. Instead of it taking place in one movie, we're gonna see him get it and use it for a while. Probably by the end of the first movie and whatever like the second trilogy is, and he's really gonna respond to it. He's like, oh, this is just like having the Stark suit back, but even better. Like, I feel so much strong. I feel better wearing it, and that's when it's going to become apparent to Peter over the next like movie and a half that it's more of a parasite than a symbiote. And the spider's looking like the Spider-Man logo.
In the
that
Kraven
one scene
trailer
where they're all coming down from the tree. I think from trees. I don't really know.
I'd have to rewatch. And in the comics, didn't Kraven like eat spiders to like gain strength? Instead of this like lion blood. Anyway, regardless.
I thought there was like some kind of herbs and stuff.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And but I think we're gonna see Peter have the suit and build up to fighting to get it off of him, and then the MCU version of Eddie Brock and Venom being a thing. And I think that'll time out really well, because with the Fantastic Four being pushed to become an actual entity within the MCU, it would be great to see Peter actually go to seek help from the Fantastic Four, just like in the comic books, and they do what they can to get the symbiote away from him and contain it and all that. Like, that's how that should go down. It'd be really fucking great. Have an actual, like, for the most part, barring the original Secret Wars storyline from the 80s, Spider-Man with the symbiote. Like, we haven't gotten like the fucking 1950s blob-esque, it fell from space thing. Ugh, okay, I get it, Sam Raimi. You didn't want to do it. I didn't want you to do it either. So yeah, you took the fucking
he took it from the what you call him? Cartoon. Wasn't it like?
Yeah, I know they did the same thing in the cartoon, but like, especially in seeing it like on the big screen, for me especially, I was like, oh, this feels very much like watching The Blob starring Steve McQueen. It's like the couple who's out and about, and then the only thing missing was the old man who touched the thing first that they find. Like, the thing makes its way to Peter, and yada yada yada. We get Spider-Man 3. But yeah, I think there's a lot going on there, and everything that's been involved with Marvel Studios insofar as the character has been working out pretty well. However, Sony, Jesus Christ, the people over there are fucking crazier than a fucking snake's armpit. I don't know.
How the fuck does lion blood?
They're rowing with one oar, yo. I don't know what to tell you.
Like, you have a perfectly somewhat reasonable origin. Like, hey, he got attacked. Why don't you just use like the whole him being revived and like with somebody giving him these herbs and teach him how to make it to gain his strength back and he enhances this. Like, you had it right there.
Yo,
fucking lion.
The problem with what you're saying is you're using logic and reason. And the folks over at Sony, and I can't state this emphatically enough, are not. They are not, sir. Like, it's just the way it goes. But yeah, like, I mean, it's gonna come and go. No one's gonna give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't think anybody on this show tonight gives a shit about Kraven being made into a movie.
No.
And that's just for the villains. Like, I care even less about a Madame Web movie. Oh, sorry, Madame Web movie. You know they're making that, right? Dakota Johnson is playing Madame Web. I'm not breaking news for you guys on this, am I? Like, no. Okay. Yeah, it's
one
I'm
of
not
the things I
hearing it
heard
all.
about, and I just was hoping it wasn't.
Oh no, it's
like
a
to
thing.
Let me live in my like blissful ignorance of the idea that this is going on.
Don't burst my
Please.
bubble, man! Don't do it. Yeah, it's ridiculous, and you know, it's. I have nothing against Dakota Johnson. It's not because of her. It's just ill-advised.
Why?
Yeah,
That's why.
I don't fucking get it. I really don't. Like, Sony wants that fucking Marvel money so badly. And they're willing to, like, you know, they want to cut down one tree, so they're gonna burn down the entire fucking forest. That's what's happening. Next
it'll be Silk.
Oh yeah,
do the
Silk.
Clone
Yeah,
Saga.
I think Silk actually is one of the ones they're looking at too.
That doesn't surprise me. Then they'll do the Clone Saga, and then
oh god, no! Please no! You shut your fucking mouth, yo! Don't you dare do that! I'm knocking on like every fucking piece of wood around me now. Judas Priest, no, please don't.
I hope not, but like, if they're willing to go with blood from a lion.
I know.
Then it's not a far move.
Listen, if you want to see the Clone Saga, just watch like one of those old episodes of the fucking Spider-Man show from the 70s. That's good enough. You know, they did that whole thing with the other Spider-Man, like holding like, you know, that's right, Peter, and I'll shoot you with this gun because I'm going to take your identity now. Like, where did you get that other Spider-Man costume? I don't understand. Like. Regardless, yeah. So Sony is fucking all 6s and 7s right now. They suck. I don't know what else to say about Kraven other than I am wildly underwhelmed. You know, and I mean, I just want to touch upon this briefly. Not that it has anything to do with Sony, but you know, we're talking about movie stuff and not getting in depth, but I just want to say real quick, I did see The Flash last week. I really enjoyed it. I don't quite understand, just in context of the story, not anything outside of it, nothing to do with Ezra Miller's fucking brouhahas in the real world, nothing, just focused primarily on that. I don't quite get why so many people are getting down on the flick. I just don't get it.
So
I really
I actually, before this all started, I do want to say I read an article and they had a couple of good points, and one of the points was none of it matters, essentially. Like, it does and it doesn't. So there's so much going on and they're rebooting the whole thing. A lot of times, like, like look at how Solo did. Solo bombed because everybody knows that nothing's at stake, really. You know what I mean?
In a way, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's kind of apples and oranges to compare, I think, The Flash to Solo, just because Solo is a story that takes place in the past of a character who we know from years later in that in the entirety of that story.
No,
so
I get that.
We know where he ends up. We didn't, you know, before going into the movie, you don't know where Barry ends up. And that is supposed to be like part of the fun of it.
I guess what I'm trying to say with that is more so like, you know going into this that he very well could be a different person in 2 years when they start aligning the Justice League.
Yeah, and that's somewhat fair. But I would like to see what this person has to say about Marvel's Secret Wars when they do that.
Okay.
Because that's going to be.
I mispronounced and I apologize.
Oh, what'd you say? He?
Yeah,
they, them. But no big deal. But
don't beat yourself up about that stuff, Steve.
But he caught it.
Yeah, exactly.
He caught it. You know, you self-correct, and we all sometimes it's just a matter of habitual speaking. You're used to a certain thing, and we as human beings, we tend sometimes to line things up with either what we already have known or what we see in front of us. And the single synapse sometimes between brain and mouth, it's too quick to stop before it pops out. But you did exactly what any considerate person should and would do in that situation, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
You said, "Oh, you know what? I misgendered. Let me correct myself. They're non-binary. I use the wrong pronouns. They are not he, him. They are they, them. No worries whatsoever. And good job, honestly.
Thanks.
You're welcome, buddy. Well, there's a lot of people in that community that I'm sure would appreciate the fact that you did stop and said that. And I mean, I'm not in that community, and I appreciate that you did. Quite frankly,
no, I've had the conversation with my kids, and they're more because they have teachers that will fight against it. They're just like, yeah, I know, but they're more that they notice that you notice, you know, even I still fuck up to this day, and it's I kick my own ass for it all the time, and I'm just like, I should know by now, and they're just like, no.
Brandon corrected me the other day, and I totally forgot because I have the memory of a goldfish. But it's
was it in regards to Ezra Miller?
Finding Leo.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I try to stay on top of that. I mean, I
as long as you don't fight against it.
Oh, exactly. No. Yeah. It's like, no, I said what I said. Like, oh, all right, well, I guess fuck me then. Whatever. Fuck me and an entire community of people. Yeah, good stuff. But I mean, there are people that I know that I've known for a very, very long time who are either transgender or non-binary, and yeah, there's an adjustment period, and anybody that you know in that situation, if you are genuinely trying to stay on top of it and you are genuinely making the effort and you do things like you stop, you realize that you might have said the wrong thing, you're like, nope, I'm sorry, they recognize that. It might not seem like that big a deal to any of us who don't go by those labels, but it does mean a lot to the people that do.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, everybody likes to be respected. Everybody likes to be acknowledged. Everyone.
Some people like to be douchebags, so it's you always.
But they still want to be acknowledged. That's part of what makes them douchebags.
Touche.
Because they're usually wrong, but they're wrong so loudly. Like,
hey, I thought we weren't going to talk about Snyder cultists.
Oh, we don't have enough time for me to fucking go off on those shitheads.
You do it enough on Reddit.
But what all I want to say is, if you do see the movie just go into it expecting to watch a good movie. Some people complain about certain finishes on things. I personally
It was intentional.
Here's the funny thing about that, and I wish my wife were awake so I could like bring her over here for a second and be like, just fucking tell them. We walked out of the theater on Thursday last week, the special preview night on the opening weekend, and I turned to her and I said, I noticed something. Well, I mean, I'm sure we've all heard about how people complaining about the special effects. All right.
Yeah.
This is not a spoiler. All right. It's not a spoiler. So this should not ruin anything for anybody. What I noticed during the movie, and this is fucking ADHD pattern recognition, the special effects that people are complaining about, it's all the way that other people and things look whilst Barry is utilizing his speed / the speed force. But if you look at Barry, and especially like both Barrys and other people, like that shot with the two Barrys and Kara when they slide at the big battle they're going to have with Zod that we've seen in the trailers. In the trailer, that shot was most certainly unfinished. It didn't look great. It looked an awful lot like Thanos when he first showed up in the first trailers for like Infinity War and shit, where we were all like, that's what Thanos is going to look like? Yeek. And clearly they finished it by the time the movie came out and it looked so much better. It's the same thing with that scene. Like everything that's not being viewed through like the lens of the Speed Force looks great.
Yeah. I was also going to say
everything that's looked at through the lens of the Speed Force though has a surreal quality to it. And the way I looked at it in the theater, and I'm not trying to be literal, but the way I saw it in the theater, imagine how surreal people and living animals, living creatures would look moving while you are going that fast, that high rate of speed. It would look fucking almost cartoonish. And that was my takeaway. And then the next day, there's an interview that Andy Muschietti did. And he was like, yeah, that was a fucking choice. And I was like, I knew it. Like, I was like, finger on the fucking pulse, motherfuckers.
I was going to say, if you really think about it, the special effects and the stuff that looked almost surreal was very reminiscent of the special effects from It Part 2.
Yeah, that's true. And it's the same thing. Like it's so weird and
it's cartoonish, but it's also real.
It's otherworldly.
Yeah,
like that's the best way to put it. Like it's like a step away. It's hyper reality. That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And that's the case through everything. Like the people may have heard the term Chrono Bowl, which I was a little disappointed when they titled it that in the movie. I'm not spoiling anything by saying that because I'm not explaining what it is, but they say Chrono Bowl. And I was like, oh man, because in my head, the second I saw it in the theater, I was like, oh, it's the Rampatheater. Because it looks like an amphitheater, but it's running. And then they named it that, and I was like, oh, all right, yeah, I guess your title's okay. Like, I enjoyed my punniness though. But yeah, the way
looks like he's sleeping.
The way that he's looking down. The way that it all finishes up, I actually was pretty satisfied with it. I feel like they could have clipped it at a certain point, but I was okay with what the actual like full on ending was. And really cool to see them really push the limits of PG-13 in the movie. I'll say that much. And you know, Ezra Miller does a phenomenal job playing the two different characters, the two different versions. It's actually really easy watching this movie to see them playing these two guys, the same guy, but two versions of them, like different ages, and truly think of them as two different people altogether. Like you really don't, for me anyway, I never felt like Ezra Miller was acting against someone other than himself in those scenes.
Did you see the images of him and the actor
Them?
them and the actor that they played against?
No. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. It's fine. It's
Yep.
fine. But that being said, like that's for me, that's one of the good things that popped up this past week before we got the initial offering of Secret Invasion, which I'm hoping by the end of the 6th episode of Secret Invasion, I get Donald Sutherland in a field with his mouth open wide, pointing and screaming, because that was like, as soon as stuff started happening, I was just like, all right, so this is just like they should have just put of the body snatchers in the bottom part of that title card. But yeah, it's I think it's gearing up to be pretty intriguing altogether. I did have a slight issue with one thing altogether in the episode, 2 things in the episode in the same place. They're staying in a like Chernobyl power plant kind of area. You know, it's all fenced off because it's highly radioactive, and they make a point to say like Skrulls are not affected by radioactivity.
Yeah.
Fantastic. However, they grow all kinds of Skrull produce
Fruit.
and shit.
Yeah.
How are they growing things in this highly irradiated area? That doesn't make sense to me. That like
GMO, bro.
I mean, but all the fucking soil and
Our
everything
GMO
is radioactive. Like it wouldn't be viable. The fruits and vegetables they're trying to grow would be likely fucking mutated.
Yeah, Earth fruits. We're talking about Skrull fruits, bro.
What if they had like hot houses
Sorry,
underground?
I need to stop saying bro.
But the other thing is,
wait. I know how. Because Brondo has electrolytes.
It's what plants crave.
Joseph. It's what plants crave. It's got what plants crave. You want to put toilet water on the plants? But the other thing is, if any of us are familiar with the comic book Secret Invasion, that was the source material for this. We understand that once it comes to light that the Skrulls have infiltrated more than just a couple of areas with individuals, that there's scores of people that they've taken over the years. They kept those people alive because if there was information that they may have needed that person had, they'd like kind of scan them or milk them for it, wake them up and kind of slap them around, and they're like, okay, now give them some forget me juice and put them back in their fucking chamber. Here's the thing. They are doing that in the show. They don't have them in pods like they did in the comic book, but they have everybody, like in these like vertical table things with like sort of it almost looks like the mind flare shit from the Mandalorian. But they're holding these people, human beings that they're copying the memories and bodies of, in the irradiated area that human beings cannot survive in.
I had a little bit
that
of
also being said,
I was like, I'm supposed to forget that we're. Oh, I was just sitting there while I was watching. I was like, okay, I'm supposed to forget we're at like some eradicated area now with the humans being there. I was like, oh.
One of the things that bothered me about that whole sentence about them being like they like the radiation is like, okay, so you basically just got your way to detect them is by having a Geiger counter on you.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That might come into play though.
That's true.
Might come into this 5 more episodes, so you may be onto something there, Steve. I didn't even
Reed Richards isn't around right now.
Yeah. Real quick, I found those pictures. So this is Ezra with their body double.
Fair enough.
Oh wow.
I will say Ezra Miller clearly like put on a little bit of weight and muscle for this movie.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's nuts. yeah, they put on some weight and muscle for this. They are not the same like skinny individual that we've seen in other things, like when they showed up in like Trainwreck, shirtless and shit. It's like, whew, man, somebody get that kid a
Cheeseburger.
a sandwich or two. Get him a submarine and a hoagie.
Submarine
A grinder.
Yeah.
And a hero.
And a hero. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. But yeah, I will say the Flash's costume
for everybody who has seen it
falls right into what I was saying. Like, on the positive side, the Flash's costume in this movie, it does not look like any of the other like action suits that we've seen in the MCU or DCEU. It doesn't have that like super hyper textured look to it
and all that.
And there's a really great explanation for the suit in and of itself in the movie, which I really appreciated in its effects on Barry. I really enjoyed it, and I think if anybody really does give at least half a shit about these characters just generally, and they want to see the adventures of Barry and what this might mean moving forward for him or any of the other characters in the DC stable that they'll be putting forth, you'll enjoy it. You know, you go in there and just have a good time. I like the fact that at the crux of this entire movie, it is character driven. It is not a Batman movie. Batman is definitely a supporting character. He is not a main character. Same thing with Supergirl. Sasha Calle does a fantastic job. I want to see her in more things. I would love for her to actually continue playing Supergirl in the DCU moving forward. I really would. She was great. She really was. But overall, Barry has to go through a lot of character growth from the very start of this movie to the very end of it. And there's a valuable lesson to be learned because of the things he does, the actions he takes, which we all probably have a pretty good idea of it at this point, just because of what the movie is. But once you get to the final portion of it all together, just ask yourself this question once you see it, if you haven't seen it yet, like Jeremy. Yo-Yo, have you seen it? No, okay. And Yo-Yo. Did Barry actually fully learn his lesson?
Do you say no?
I say yes, but in a roundabout way. A roundabout way. It's more of a loophole than acceptance, if that makes sense, without spoiling anything.
No, I need you to explain this like on when between me and you.
Yeah, not a problem. But I'll say, like, the character realizes what they did that was wrong. You know, exactly what we've seen in the trailers with Ben Affleck. Like, you know, if you go back and step on a blade of grass, you could change everything. You know, that whole deal. And obviously, we know some of the changes that occur because Barry attempts to save his mother. But like I said at the end, I feel like he did learn his lesson, but it's more like he learned what the end result could be of his actions, but he's convinced himself that he has a workaround, particularly for this situation. Yeah. And that's interesting to me, because overall, I think that's why we end up where we do in the final shot of the movie.
Yes. Yeah, they kind of did. If anybody watched the Flash TV show, they kind of do it there.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can see it.
But the effects of what happened weren't nearly as big.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like honestly, for this past week, I feel like I've eaten very well as a geek. You know,
I also agree.
I got a Flash movie, which I've been waiting for since I was about 9 years old, and now I'm I watched Secret Invasion. I always enjoy Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, and really cool to see that he was an executive producer on this series as well.
I saw that too.
I thought that was cool. I really like Emilia Clarke, and I'm really hoping that this is something that really drives the whole idea of her being Daenerys from people's heads, because
the first episode, going in the right direction.
Yeah, so far so good, man, because I've felt really bad because I think she's talented and I think she's been pigeonholed a little bit. People just connect her too much to the character that she played on Game of Thrones, and she hasn't been given, proper shrift for what she's being offered and able to take. Let her be a character that exists for her to inhabit primarily. Don't have her play fucking Sarah Connor in a goddamn Terminator movie and shit.
The one thing I wish she didn't do though is when she killed that Skrull, she shouldn't have said Dracarys.
I don't. It sounds like we're trying to wrap up for the episode, but I do want to ask everybody who's seen the episode for Secret Invasion, the very last thing that happened confused me because I didn't understand what she said, or I know what she said, but I want to know why she said it. She said it was you.
Oh yeah. Have we all seen it?
Yeah.
Yo-Yo
except for Yo-Yo.
All right, but Yo-Yo gave us the thumbs up, right? Yeah. Okay.
Well, this one. Wait. This one's kind of big. Like, somebody dies.
I'm gonna watch it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Maria Hill gets shot.
Yeah, she got shot, and she got shot by a Skrull who was posing as Nick Fury. While Nick Fury was there, he shot her, and then turns into the regular human form that he usually has, walks off, and there's Samuel L. Jackson holding her and a gun because he was trying to get the Skrull, and then there's an explosion, and then fucking law enforcement's showing up. They're gonna grab Nick Fury. They're grabbing Nick Fury to toss him in jail because this lady is, dunzo. The last thing she says is, "It was you." She was telling him that the person that shot her looked like him, like it was a Skrull that took on his form.
But I thought he saw the shooter, but now that you mention it, it might have been him in his normal human form.
He may. I don't know if he saw him just before he turned into his regular human form.
It looked like he saw him because he was going to try to shoot him.
Yeah, it was like a split second that he looked like Nick Fury, where Nick Fury proper saw him. A person walks by, he turns into his regular human form and just walks off kind of smirking like, yeah, you're fucked. And that's when Sam Jackson Nick Fury turns to Maria Hill, and that's when she's like, "It was you," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm boned."
Yeah.
And
also, isn't everybody there boned? Because weren't those supposed to be dirty bombs?
Yeah.
That confused me because they did make a mention that if those bombs went off, it would destroy the world.
Yeah, so that may not have been the dirty bombs that they were talking about. That may have just been a full blown terrorist attack as a distraction.
World too. Yeah. Then.
Yeah. Really, a chess move against Nick Fury.
Okay, I have a couple of quick observations to throw in. I think that it was you thing, and maybe we got this and I just missed when it was being explained. But because they, like you said, to take over their forms, they have them locked up so that they can absorb their skin and then their memories. But if he was able to turn into Nick Fury, somehow they have enough DNA or samples
Well,
or something of Nick
they
Fury
don't
for them to
need
be
to
able
touch.
use?
They don't need to touch them or
They don't-
get their DNA in order to look like anybody.
Okay, I thought they were. That's
to
why they
actually
have
be able
kept
to make
all
the same
captured.
moves as them. That's
But
Yeah.
even at the same time, they spend time together in Saber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that same guy knew Nick Fury because before the snapping.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what were you saying, Yo-Yo?
they don't need to because in what you call him, Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
They
Talos.
didn't need to. Yeah, he didn't need to be able to steal anything. He just looked at him and was able to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when they show up, when they're all on the beach, they just looked at people and then they just turned into them.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to deep infiltrate, you're gonna want to have them for the information they have. Looking like someone's one thing, but
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
because when we just read the comic for Splash Pages, so it was oh, we kept all of them. Why did you keep them? Conveniently enough, we kept them because we had to have their DNA just in case we had to go back to use it to get the powers for another scroll to use or something like that.
Yeah,
And-
they're also talking about super scrolls.
That took the words right out of my mouth. That's
Okay.
Super Skrull technology, which is pulled directly from the Fantastic Four comic books.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing, and that's actually a big part of the reason, aside from memory theft or borrowing, copying, whatever you want to call it, they needed to be able to have access to the superpowered individual's DNA to be able to replicate their abilities so they could more convincingly pass as that person. That makes perfect sense. These folks that they have in their compound, these are clearly regular individuals whom they are posing as, and they needed their memories to be able to infiltrate thoroughly, and that's about it. But they don't need to touch anybody. They don't need their DNA in order to just look like them. So that guy, he was well within what he needed to do just by looking like Nick Fury. My only thing is Super Skrulls change their bodies, not their fucking clothes.
Yeah, that one was crazy, by the way, when the dude they had the guy touch the guy's head right before and his clothes changed. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, it's very strange. I didn't quite understand that one. But,
I think they were just doing that for the sake of if the kid was watching, they wouldn't be like, why is he naked?
Well, I mean, it's not even about being naked. They would just be wearing the clothes they were wearing when they turned into the person. So if I you're wearing if I were a Skrull and I'm wearing this shirt and hat, but then I decided to look like Yo-Yo, all of a sudden I would look like Yo-Yo, but in this shirt and hat.
But then you couldn't have had the scene where he's the little girl and then the old man and then the
yeah. That little girl too, man. Straight up, as soon as I saw her in the Shining episode,
vibes.
The Shining, Men in Black vibes, dude. I got Will Smith at the fucking shooting gallery.
Oh my god! I remember. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, the fucking girl playing with a colorful ball, bouncing it in a fucking street in Moscow at fucking.
I was like, yeah, what's
night.
this little kid doing?
Yeah, there's just something so unwholesome about this right now. It doesn't seem correct. No human girl would be doing that.
Do you think the Flurkin's gonna make an appearance?
Oh yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
that
was well timed. That was very.
I think they're putting the eye front and center, so I think the Flurkin will be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is Olivia Colman supposed to be Union Jack?
I don't know.
Leo's like, oh, maybe.
No. I was just thinking.
The gears are going hard in his head right now.
What if they use the Flurkin to identify the Skrulls? Because we know,
or they could go with a Geiger counter, just like.
Yeah.
I like that Geiger counter idea.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Because it's been a while since I've read Secret Invasion, but I don't think they ever mentioned radioactiveness in there, did they?
No. We just read it for Splash Pages.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. I have to find. I have the trade paperback somewhere. I gotta find it.
We didn't
It's a good,
we just
easy
read
read.
the issue. Yeah. We didn't go off and do all the extra stuff, but
Oh yeah.
I was gonna do a quick
Oh.
flash warning too.
Yeah.
Flash warning for epileptics who have
Waka, waka,
like
waka.
me. Like
Get it?
me,
Flash
if
warning?
you you might want to be prepared for this movie because morphing or phasing, that is something you aren't going to want to watch. The scene where he's getting his powers, you aren't going to want to watch that. Whenever there is blue lightning speed going on, avoid watching that. Avoid General Zod's podcast. Don't pay much attention to any of the actual time travel flash running. If you can just kind of cover, watch, see on the screen where it's going. And the weirdest one that got me the most is in the almost the very beginning of the movie. There's a scene where the Flash is talking to bats in an alley after some stuff, and there's just a flickering neon sign that's right up behind Batman, and it just doesn't stop flickering through the whole scene, and that's worse than all of the CGI through the entire rest of the movie. But other than that,
So
have a good time.
if you're prone to flashing
Seizures.
light induced seizures or anything,
Close
the
your
best
eyes.
thing is to look down at the floor, or completely cover your eyes in those instances. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious, is there any kind of shaded glasses or anything that could be worn
That's a good question.
to be able to view things like that?
Not that I've been told about. A lot of it has to. I'm not, because I can't look at. This is a weird example that I use for people. Some people get it with some people have been triggered by patterns of birds flying, when a huge Cerceris of swallows gets going. Or I can't look at cottonwood trees in the sun when it's windy, because how they have slightly glossy leaves, just patterns of flickerings going around. That's enough to. It doesn't have to
Trigger
be
it.
strobing super bright lights.
Oh yeah, no, I know
But
that.
yeah,
One
I
of
don't
my
know,
best
that'd
friends
be-
is epileptic, so I completely understand. I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. My optometrist.
I feel like if you had sort of filtered glasses, that it's it's a barrier, but it's just like 1,000 pinholes essentially through each, so you can still kind of see it, but it would actually filter a lot of that, so you're not getting the barrage, you're not getting battered with light and patterns in your face. It would break it down to make it a more of a simplistic image for the brain to process. I'm just, because I know from my own friend's experience, sometimes if there were flashing lights, he actually wouldn't just straight up look away. Especially if he was really wanted to see it. What he would do though is he would cover one eye and squint with the other, so his eyelashes would kind of filter a bit through the one open one, and then finally when
I'll
he's
do
good.
kind of this a little bit.
Yeah, it's sort of the same. Yeah, same principle. I was just curious. It's just sounds like something that would probably be worthwhile for folks that enjoy these types of comic book movies, but also have to deal with light induced or pattern induced seizures. I'm just curious. I don't expect you to have the answer, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot for that.
Oh no!
But,
if you find out about something like that, I would love to. I'm going to be talking to my neurologist soon, so I'll ask.
Now I'm going to try to see if I can find anything on it. But yeah, overall, this has been a pretty good week. We got some great gaming news, a movie that a lot of us, I think, will or did enjoy, and that a lot of other people who are shitheads are just going to crap all over because it does away with something that they think should be sold to Netflix. And functional filters, eyewear tech for epilepsy. There you go. Yeah, see,
there you go.
So we're on to something. And
By George, I think he's got it.
by Jove. But yeah, and then Marvel coming out strong on tonight with this. I mean, and on top of it, just not to get in depth because we're trying to wrap it up. Superman and Lois had their penultimate season episode.
Oh, nice.
Last night. So next week is the season finale. Michael Kudlitz shows up as Lex Luthor in it, and he is going to be, I guess, full on in the next episode and likely through all of season 4, which is probably going to be its last. This was a really great episode, and just from this one episode that Michael Kudlitz first appears as Lex Luthor, he is one of the 2 best Lex Luthors I've ever seen portrayed in live action. The other one being, and I have no like deep affinity for this show. I cannot say that enough. Like, I watched it because I'm a huge Superman nerd, so I'm diehard. I will watch it. Smallville, Michael Rosenbaum. He is the best Lex Luthor I've ever seen. But right now, Michael Kudlitz is giving him a fucking run for his money.
Oh, nice. Plus, we also got
holy
Strange New
shit.
Worlds is back.
What's up, Steve?
The Michael Kudlitz is Lex Luthor.
Yeah, he's good, and he actually like lost some weight too. Like he's looking really lean as Lex in this. And one thing I thought was very interesting is he's Lex as it is displayed in this episode, especially. He's been in prison for 17 years in Stryker's prison in Metropolis
because of Superman?
because of Lois.
Oh,
because of a story she wrote, and he got blamed for the murder of Boss Moxie in Suicide Slums, and it turns out it was Bruno Mannheim and his wife who did it. And Lois finds out, and she releases a story at this point exonerating Lex, proving that he was innocent, and he's let go. And he has a kid. He has a daughter, and he's like, she was 14 years old when I went in, and now she won't talk to me. And I already saw people like, what the fuck? Lex Luthor has a kid, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you mean on the show where Superman and Lois have twin teenage sons, you have a problem with Lex Luthor also having a kid? What? Like, your standards are fucking insane. I don't get it. But I do appreciate the juxtaposition, like how it's going to mirror, because Lex Luthor and Superman are both parents in this show. And that's something, once again, like most of the things we've seen in Superman and Lois, something we've never gotten before that completely changes how you can view the character. And I appreciate the fuck out of that, because we have never truly seen a Lex Luthor that cares about anybody more than himself. You know, and I have a lot of faith in Michael Kudlitz being able to play the cold, calculating, ruthless, non-clown, temperamental Lex Luthor, while also grieving the fact that his relationship with his daughter seems so irreparably damaged because Lois Lane accused him of something he didn't do, and he spent so much time in prison. Like, it's good stuff, man. I highly recommend it, especially because, like I said, next year may be the last season, and if you haven't checked out this iteration of Superman and you like the character, you owe it to yourself. It's a logical continuation of Superman from like the comic books, essentially, that we've never really gotten. And more power to Tyler Hoechlin and Bitsy Tulloch and everybody involved, because every bit of this show has completely subverted expectations. There's not been a part of this each season where, for someone like me to watch it, and I'm like, oh, I know what's going to happen. And then what I think is going to happen goes down. I'm like, no, wait, that's not how I said it was going to. Oh, that's completely different. You fuckers. Every fucking time. They did it every time to me. And like, I love it and I hate it at the same exact time. You know, so
I want to take your Michael Kudlitz and throw a John Cryer on the table.
I thought John Cryer was okay.
I think he looks I think he does great as a villain, and it's totally weird that I
still
that.
think he was a little too manic when he played Lex Luthor.
I suppose
just a little too buoyant. You know, Michael Cudlitz is very much in line with the ruthless, brilliant businessman.
Mhm.
You know, the way that he was changed by John Byrne for the Man of Steel miniseries in 1986, like that forever changed how Lex Luthor was drawn altogether as a character. And this lines up with the way that he was portrayed in Smallville as well. And it's interesting to note that in Superman and Lois, they make mention the name of his company is not LexCorp. It is Luthor Corp, just like in Smallville. So yeah, highly recommend it. Next week is the season finale of season 3 for Superman and Lois. This season is particularly emotional. There's a lot of character development and growth. I will say, without spoiling anything, if you or a loved one has ever had to deal with someone that you're close to or related to being diagnosed with cancer, it may hit home kind of hard, but that's kind of the point, because it shows you exactly what it's like for someone to have to go through it. And
now I gotta watch this.
Yeah, not just the person who's been diagnosed with it, but the people in their lives around them who care about them and how they need to deal with it and help that person simultaneously. I can't recommend it enough. And I say that as someone, like, I lost my dad when I was 21 to lung and liver cancer. I watched him go through chemo and all that jazz, and it was fucking awful. And to see that happen for one of the characters in this season and how it's going to change them forevermore in the series, it was powerful stuff. And honestly, like, super impressed with Greg Berlanti's writing team and everything on this show. They've been knocking it out of the park, and I can see exactly why they kept the show on for at least another season and gave Gotham Knights the fucking stanky boot. So check it out.
That may be tough. That's how I lost my first sister as well.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it hits hard, but it's like, you know, you watch it, it's such good characterization. These are characters that a lot of us geeks have known and loved for many, many years. And it really drives home the realistic family dynamic that they've been nailing since the word go on this series. So yeah, have some tissues handy, but it's going to be like listening to a song that you really like, but brings up maybe some memories that, oh man, like nostalgia and forlorn, you get a little weep. It's like, fuck yeah, it hurts. That's what you're going to be doing while you're watching Superman and his company deal with all this shit. 'Cause it's like, oh, he's Superman, he's got a superpower kid, and this is badass. What a cool story, but oh man, this is so sad at the same time.
Who the fuck brought onions?
I'm not crying. I just peed in my eye. God damn it.
Oh, we need to wrap things up. I was gonna end it with my dad can beat up your dad joke, but we'll save that for another time. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. You know me, you know where you can find me. Dorkening Podcast Network. Head on over to thedorkening.com. I do a bunch of shows during the week. Some of these fine people will tell you what I joined them with. But yeah, Splash Pages Still Token with, Comics Paradox, The Dork Knight, a lot of fun stuff, and Midweek Geeks. And we'll kick it off with Steve.
Hey, it's a big me. Nerds of Unusual Origin Weekly Podcast. We do beer, we do nerd shit, we do movies. Sometimes when we don't do movies, we drink hot sauce. You'll see that one coming up on our TikTok.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yes. We try to make it so we never fail watching a movie, and we failed a lot. That being said, like, just check us out. We're on the Dorkening Podcast Network, obviously. I love it here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yo
Saint Laurent on Instagram. Sorry, that's all. I'm in great deal at the moment.
You never have to apologize, Yo. Never ever.
It's okay. We love you.
Yeah, totally. Jar.
Hey, come check us out Tuesdays for Splash Pages at 8 o'clock on YouTube and Facebook. And check out Token Dead or Still Token on 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. I'm sometimes there. I think I will be there next week. Some medical marijuana doctor will be on. And let's see. Midweek Geeks, 9 o'clock Wednesdays. And then I believe Kari will tell you all about the Owl Light.
Yeah, and what about Splash Pages?
I said
He said
Splash
it.
Pages
Oh, you
first,
did?
damn you.
Okay.
Hey Leo, I'm gonna
Wait,
fucking mail you some Q-tips so you can clean the shit out of your ears.
Oh, Kari.
All right, so I am hanging out a lot these days with these gents on Splash Pages and the Midweek Geeks over here at the Dorkening. I am also part of the Owl Light Network, and that we have a bunch of different shows going on. We do a Thank Cthulhu It's Sunday alternating type of show. We have Jeremy with us over there, and Raz, and a bunch of other people who I steal from every network that I meet people from to come and hang out with me. We do storytelling type of stuff. So if you look up Kari Sanders on Facebook, you'll see links to all of my stuff. And yeah, that's all you need to do. Get a hold of me.
Sounds good. Powerful Brandon, take us out, sir.
Hey everybody, I am Brandon Powers, aka Powerful Brandon. If you feel so inclined, there's a few different things I'd love for you to check out. First is the Powers Combined Facebook group. We're a consortium of dorks, geeks, and nerds that like to get together to share news, info, memes, jokes, good times, and laughs to be had by all. Our number one rule there is don't be a jerk. If you violate that, you will be booted immediately. You can also please check out a couple of the other podcasts / shows I do aside from this one every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The first of which, and these two alternate on Sundays, one on one Sunday, one on another. The first of which is The Dork Night, where myself, Leo Pond, and our good friend Justin Cooper discuss and dissect all things Batman. As I like to say, it's a show where two guys who love Batman just love talking about Batman, and they asked me to be there too for some reason. And the second one is Comics Paradox. That is where myself, Leo, and Justin talk about all kinds of different alternate reality tales, such as Elseworlds from DC and What Ifs from Marvel Comics. We also discuss different storylines in event comics that would have occurred over the years, such as X-Men's Age of Apocalypse, or recently we covered a few issues of Amalgam Comics, which is the result of Marvel versus DC, where they combined their different superheroes to make new characters that have the attributes of both of the originals. For example, Wolverine and Batman combined to make Darkclaw. And for those two, you can check those out. They drop on Sundays, and you'll find them wherever fine podcasts are broadcast.
Awesome. We'll catch you all later. Bye.
Have a good night, everybody.